Hello, and welcome to a very special episode of Oscar Sunday. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre,
I'm Carol Boucher.
and today we are tackling M. Night Shyamalan's 1999 debut, The Sixth Sense, one of the few horror films to be nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars, and probably his best work. He peaked early, regrettably, as we've talked about pretty much all this week. But when Austin's off and I got Caleb, odds are we're going to do some horror movie. And this worked out because Knock at the Cabin is out, getting kind of mixed reviews, but not horrible. And with M. Night, not horrible is pretty much the best you can hope for.
Yeah.
So,
Well, horror movie, or there's still technically, and let this be known, there's still a track-ass film on the table for Oscar Sunday. I'm looking at you, Bad Grandpa.
yeah, I love it. Yeah, there's certain ridiculous comedies we can do. We can do that. We can do Austin Powers 2. We can do The Nutty Professor. It's wild what gets the nomination sometimes. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah, it's
Jackass
funny too.
Presents Bad Grandpa would be a fantastic
Yeah.
episode.
Oh yeah, and it's funny because honestly, Bad Grandpa, if you were to ask me my the one I'm not into the most, it'd probably be that one. Like that's my least it's still fucking funny. It's just not as funny as like the Jackass movies.
It's true, but it's Oscar nominated, which is insane. But anyway, uh, The Sixth Sense was nominated for 6 Oscars at the 72nd Academy Awards, lost Best Picture to American Beauty. Hard to argue with that one. That's a fantastic movie. We did it on a Best Picture showdown a long time ago, back when that was our first time talking about Kevin Spacey since the allegations. But we kind of reclaimed that movie, and we did a showdown. So Sixth Sense came up, and we tabled it. We also covered this on FILMGAZM a long time ago in an episode that was frankly below par. So here we are reclaiming it on Oscar Sunday. Going to have a full-on proper conversation with 2 people who saw it and care. So,
Shots fired. I am not going to delve into that anymore.
I know she's not listening to the show. It's fine.
No, yeah, we're going to do this a lot better because I think we're both on the same camp that we have seen this for like a lot over the years. I'm getting introduced to this via an aunt of mine. It was there through she had the DVD or VHS, I forget which, but she had it and knew I liked horror and was like, "Oh, it was PG-13, like it's not the most scariest thing ever, and we'll think you like it." And yeah, I fell in love with it. So I've seen this movie a lot over the years since I was a kid.
Yeah, same here. This is I've often talked about my grandma who hates horror movies and is terrified by all of them and won't even be in the same room when one's playing. Weirdly, The Sixth Sense is one of the few that she really enjoys. I've never been able to figure that out. Like M. Night Shyamalan, she has no problem. She loves Sixth Sense, Signs, The Village. She loves all of that. But like she won't watch like Psycho. I don't
Well,
get it.
we kind of talked about it with the happening, but even like he doesn't ever really go there, if that makes sense. Like even with this, like yes, he has scenes that are like legitimately to me creepy. I definitely remember, we'll get into it as we talk more about the film, but I do remember some scenes in this film as a kid fucking got me. Um but like in the grand scheme of things, like he still lands like soft punches. And in this case, I actually don't mean it as a negative like it did in the happening. I actually mean like it with the movie and the story he's trying to tell, it works that he doesn't go that far with it, that he only goes so far because the idea is that you're seeing this as a kid is seeing it. You know what I mean? You're seeing it from a kid's point of view. So that's why it's only scary to an extent. Because eventually, as the film goes on, as we see, he learns to accept what he is, his gift, if you will, his sixth sense, and actually knows how to use it without it always scaring him. So it's like it works in the context of the film, him not pushing as far as you probably could, even with PG-13.
Well, I love that approach to a ghost story. That ghosts aren't just scary and vengeful. Like they just want to be heard. They just need somebody to understand what they're going through and to help them find peace. And regrettably, this kid Cole is the outlet. He's the medium, and he didn't want this. But it's not about what you want; it's about what you end up with. And I love him eventually realizing, the only way to get rid of these ghosts is to help them find peace. And yeah, it's like a drama that evolves into horror and then devolves back into drama. It's a very smart movie, and I don't know where he went after this, but he was nominated for 3 Oscars for this thing. Like personally, he was up for Oh, never mind. Two, just two, not producer. But he was up for director and screenplay for this. And he had a chance. Like, this is a very tight screenplay. His direction's fantastic. The cast is amazing. This is a great movie. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm very excited to talk about this because even, with all the shit we kind of said on The Happening, for those if you haven't listened to me on the bad episode on that, this kind of represents like what I do like about Shyamalan when he does actually finally work and his films click and he has a good screenplay with good direction and good acting. I cannot stress that part enough. Good fucking acting. After saying to The Happening, God. But when it works, and it works, I mean, between this and Unbreakable and Split are kind of like my top three. If you were to ask me, like right now, where like those are my top three when it comes to like everything just coming together and working in a fucking Shyamalan film. With this to me, obviously being the one, this was the one that like when it came out, people were like, "Oh, he's the next Spielberg." And I mean, I always had issues. Well, I mean, now that I'm older, I'm a bit more into like, more in tune with like film and theory and all that stuff. I don't like that, not because of the whole like it creates an ego thing, but simply because like I don't want anyone to be the next something. I don't want the next Wes Craven. I don't want the next John Carpenter. I want James Wan. I want Ari Aster. I want Robert Eggers. Like that's what I want. I don't want the next something. I just want the person that is becoming a visionary behind the camera and giving me good fucking films.
Yeah. As Dwayne Johnson said in Fighting with My Family, don't be the next Rock, be the first you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you should, have your heroes, but don't emulate them. Find your own style, be proud of your own work.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
For an extent, M. Night was able to do that. And, I just don't think he's been proud for a while. Hopefully, Knock at the Cabin isn't terrible. I'm excited to see it, but also, I'm apprehensive. I've been hurt before.
I can't wait to see either all four of us walk away happy or just be like, what the hell did we just watch?
We'll see. I don't know. I don't know.
Look, real quick, I promise this is the last time I'll shit on him because we're on Oscar Sunday this time. I'll never forget sitting through Old and like, look, to describe my theater experience, it's like I never left my house to go see that movie in the theaters. I want like at least like 30 minutes into the movie, people were just getting up to go to the bathroom randomly. I swear to God, people were probably like doing shit in the the walkways. I just didn't see it. Like there was just everyone's just got like slouched back, just like, oh God. Like it was a collective, just like, oh God, we paid for this, and none of us want to leave because we just paid money to see this, and we're gonna suffer through it.
It's hilarious. The Sixth Sense was a phenomenal hit. 672 million on a budget of 40 million. Everyone was like, who is this guy? He was up for a bunch of Oscars. The film was a huge award darling. And everyone was, when Unbreakable came out, they're like, oh shit, he's got another one. Signs comes out. Oh shit, there's another one. Like, this was a big deal. I remember him being like, touted as like the next A-list director. And yeah, as we talked about on The Happening, that didn't, happen.
Yeah, no, like I said, I remember like, when I got introduced to this movie, and like I said, my aunt just being like, hey, I heard you like horror. This movie is supposed to be really, really good. I don't even think she saw it yet. She would like, it was my aunt that liked to buy movies, but then she'd keep in like the cellophane. He's always mess with her about it. And she was like, look, I've heard it's really good. It's, let's watch it. I fucking fell in love with it. I think she liked it. It's been years. But yeah, I remember like everyone was talking about this movie. My whole all my like aunts, uncles, cousins were like, "Oh my God, The Sixth Sense is such a good movie. You have to watch The Sixth Sense." I'm just like little me being like, "What the hell is this movie you're talking about?" So my aunt finally was like, "Hey, I got it. Let's watch it."
I watched it at a young age. I think I was like 7 or 8 years old, maybe younger. And the scene where Cole, like the little girl, shows up in the tent with like the vomit dripping from her mouth, scared me so bad I had to sleep in my mom's bed. And I was like, can I stay here? So
dude, for me, it's a scene in the kitchen when he reveals what he's been seeing in the kitchen all along. I don't know why that freaks me out as a kid. I'm like, the kitchen's not safe.
It's weird. These movies, like you said, he doesn't go into like, too far into, real true horror, but he toes that line just enough to get under my skin. And he did that to me twice. And it's weird. Like when he's good, he is very good.
Yes, like when he is firing, it's like holy. Really, like M Night. The best way to describe it is like to me, in my experience, has been either I really like his movies or I just really hate them. Like there's never been an in between where I'm like that one was okay.
Yeah.
I've always been like I fucking this movie's great, or I'm like, goddamn, fuck this movie.
Yep, totally understand. Well, before we get into our awards for The Sixth Sense, I thought this would be a fun project. I tried to do this before, didn't take, but now I have you, and I think it's going to take.
What if it doesn't? What if it just falls on your face 2 times in a row?
Then I'll know it's my fault, but I doubt it. Uh, The Sixth Sense is one of the very few horror films to be nominated for Best Picture. Horror has not been represented well at the Academy, throughout its 95-year run. Only 11 horror films that I could find have actually been up for the top prize. So I thought we'd talk about these films and see if they deserve to be there, and maybe brainstorm some other horror classics that should have been up for the top prize. So we're gonna go,
I got some recent ones I can talk about. Go on.
we're gonna go chronologically. These are the 11 horror films that I could find. I am gonna stretch the definition of horror just a bit to include some thrillers, but let's start
again. Yeah, again, for as we talk about for recording, I accept horror adjacent. I'll take if it has even a little flavor of it. So all okay in my book.
Yeah, a nice bouquet.
Yeah, a little spice, if you will.
Yeah, when you smell those little notes, you're like, oh, I'm home. That's what we're talking about here. Starting with 1941's Suspicion. Directed by Alfred Hitchcock, stars Joan Fontaine as a psychologically distressed woman who is convinced that her scumbag conman husband, played by Cary Grant, is planning to kill her for the insurance money. It's not a purebred horror, but it's a disturbing enough psychological thriller that paved the way for many after it. Joan Fontaine won Best Actress. It was also up for Best Original Score. And I think you've got this in your collection.
Did you just watch me pull it out?
I did. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. He's going.
I'm looking right now. What year did it come out?
41.
40. Oh wow, I started ass backwards. That was a horrible idea on my part. Rope, Shadow of a Doubt. No, it's not in here. What the hell? Suspicion?
Yeah.
Nope. It starts with Saboteur.
It
ends with those are his TV shows.
That's a nice set.
Family Plot. Yeah, dude, I got it was like $70 for less one day on Amazon. I was like, fuck yes.
That's nice. I recommend Suspicion. It is a very smart movie. It has elements.
It's been one I've been wanting to watch. It's a Hitchcock film that's on my list. So sorry to start this out disappointing on your end, but I have not seen it yet.
I know you hadn't seen it, but this is my plug because I want you to see this. We'll do it on Oscar Sunday at some point. It's a great movie. We haven't done enough Hitchcock. We've only done I think we did Rear Window and Spellbound. I think that's all we've done with Hitchcock.
Okay, you know what? Hey, real quick.
Yeah.
So yeah, you said 1941, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this set starts in 1942, literally a year later.
There it is.
Fuck.
Yeah, Hitchcock was making movies, from like the late 20s to the 70s.
Yeah. With that said, quick plug. Like Connor said, awesome set. It's on Amazon. Alfred Hitchcock, The Ultimate Collection, has a shit ton of movies plus episodes of his TV shows. Both the best of the Alfred Hitchcock Hour and Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
That is nice. That's beautiful. Once I have some folding money, I'll have to get my hands on that collection.
Yes.
But I do recommend it. There's moments that are, it keeps you guessing the whole time. Is Cary Grant on the up and up? Is he really planning to kill her? Is she just crazy? It keeps you guessing to the end. And even in the end, you're still not sure. You're like, I don't know. Like you could read it that, yes, that was a murder attempt, or you could read it as, oh, she's just seeing things. It's a very smart psychological thriller. And I think without Suspicion, maybe other horror films down the road do not get recognized.
Yeah, no, it's one I want to check out. Admittedly, I have been wanting. That's why I got the set, because my Hitchcock is limited. I'm very aware of all of his work, but I've only really sat through like Psycho the whole way through. I've seen Birds once when I was a kid because my mom was watching it. So that's why I got the set to finally be like, I need to watch more Hitchcock, and this set's a great entry point. So I'll definitely check out Suspicion.
Yeah, Hitchcock is one of those guys. Like we all kind of know all of his movies, but we haven't necessarily seen them. But we know him. It's very strange. I've been trying to make an effort to actually watch a lot of these films, and thanks to Oscar Sunday, a lot of them have been kind of prep work because they've been nominated alongside other stuff we've talked about. Like I watched Rebecca when we did The Great Dictator, and that was a great drama.
Strangers on a Train. I've seen that one. And
That's a great movie.
That movie was great.
Yeah.
God, I love that one.
That's an awesome movie. I really like Lifeboat. I watched that one on a whim, and that was just pure like paranoia thriller. It was great.
Yeah. He had very interesting titles. I like his titles are very to the point.
Yeah, it's a lifeboat. There it is.
They are strangers and they're on a train.
Jimmy Stewart's looking through the rear window. Like, yeah.
He is indeed a psycho.
There are birds. You see them? They're right there.
They're attacking. Her name is Marnie.
Oh, but yeah, he's done a lot of work, and I'm looking forward to kind of digging into that stuff. But yeah, Suspicion is just a really good one.
Okay.
There wasn't another horror film nominated till 1971, and that was A Clockwork Orange.
Oh, I've seen Clockwork. I fucking love Clockwork.
Oh yeah, Stanley Kubrick tells the story of sadistic teenage rapist Alex, played by Malcolm McDowell, as he rapes and murders his way through a futuristic London before he gets committed and brainwashed into behaving like a decent member of society. Was also up for director, adapted screenplay, and film editing.
I feel like you set me up a little bit because I say I love that movie in the first thing in your mouth. So the movie's about a rapist who goes around raping. Thanks, dude.
Oh, like what? Well, I'm supposed to lie about the content of this film. You knew what we were going to talk about.
There is more to it, but there's quite a bit in the beginning of the film.
It is a tough film to sell to people who haven't seen it. You're like, oh, what's one of your favorite movies? A Clockwork Orange. Oh, what's that about? Well,
Malcolm McDowell's in it, and they talk funny, and he likes milk.
That's one way to describe the movie.
Yeah. You like Singing in the Rain? You want after the movie?
Yeah. Gene Kelly sure as hell didn't. He was really upset about that. But not for the reason you think. He wasn't pissed about the rape scene. He was pissed he didn't get paid. Yeah. Gene Kelly was a bastard.
I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. This is the same system that allowed Marilyn Manson to go on and be a huge artist when it's found out that he was also at the same time assaulting a fucking minor. So shouldn't be surprised.
Well, that's a hell of a jump, but okay.
I'm just saying, like, apparently Hollywood in general has just been like, we are going to hide the monsters away. It's fine.
True.
You just sew them on the image.
Well, Clockwork is one of those movies that, like, I despised the first time I watched it, and then the second time I watched it, I thought it was brilliant.
Well, I loved it the first time. I guess I'm a bastard, but I fell in love the first time I watched it.
Fair enough. It's one of the few X-rated films to be up for Best Picture. I think the only other one is Midnight Cowboy, which actually won. But Clockwork lost to The French Connection, which hard to argue with that. That's a fantastic movie. But Malcolm McDowell got robbed of a Best Actor nomination. Like, it's his best work. He is phenomenal as Alex.
Oh yeah, no, Malcolm McDowell, like, and what the hell happened to his career after this? But he is great in this movie. Everything, like, the commitment he made to, like, this character is outstanding. He should have been nominated. Was Kubrick at all nominated for, like, adapted screenplay by chance? I know this is based off a book also.
Yeah, he was up for director and adapted screenplay for this.
Okay, I was about to say, if he didn't get any kind of nomination, he should have gotten something. I'd say what you were about that dude and how fucking psychopathic he was, but god damn, his movies are good. Like, I like a lot of his movies.
Kubrick only won one Oscar in his career, and it was for visual effects for 2001: A Space Odyssey.
What the fuck?
I know. He never won director. He never won screenplay. Unbelievable.
Yeah. I wonder if Hollywood was like, no, you made Shelley Duvall fucking quit the business. Let's slow our roll here, bro.
Nah, I think it's safe to say Hollywood never cared about Shelley Duvall.
No, they didn't, which is why I was so trepidatious about this new film coming out with her being, and I'm like, I swear to God, if you're using this poor lady, which, by the way, the people who are doing it, quick side note, they did an interview with her clearly in fucking Blanco. Because, like, well, they were filming it, they're like, yeah, we're at this beautiful state park, and I was watching the interview. She's in her car, they're talking to her, and the whole time I'm watching, I'm like, I know what park that is. I was like, that's the route I rode my bike every fucking day in middle school or in elementary. I was like, I know exactly where that is.
That's cool. Why was she in her car?
I don't know. I mean, she seemed fine. Then at the end, she started kind of doing her like, "Oh, isn't it pretty out here?" And I'm like, "Shelly, you've lived here since I was a child and longer. Come on, you come on."
Yeah, this is gonna be interesting when this new film comes out. We'll see. But yeah, Clockwork freaked everybody out. There's no way it was taking Best Picture. I mean, it was up against films like Fiddler on the Roof. That's a leap.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that was the point of the movie though with Clockwork. Like, it was meant to be transgressive because it was tackling this idea of like, can you, especially at the time it came out with the counterculture and stuff, kind of going strong. This idea of like, can we take these people and fix them? You know what I mean, quote unquote. And to me, the movie's only gotten more like creepily realistic in more recent years with like, on a more like not as serious scale, but whenever someone looks at metalheads or horror lovers and they're like, "Oh, you, how dare you like that? Like, we need to fix you. It's a fake." You know what I mean? But obviously, with like, on a much more serious note, you're the gay conversion camps that still exist to this day. This film kind of taps into that kind of idea of like, we can convert these people, we can change them. Like, we can make the rapist not be a rapist, and it's like, not how that works. Not how it works at all.
Well, the movie, it brings up the idea of like, if you're fucking around with somebody's brain, aren't you just as bad as the person who's committing these crimes? Like, aren't you just raping their mind? Like,
Yeah.
It reminds me of a line from Sons of Anarchy where Mitch Pileggi, who played like the head of the Aryan Brotherhood in this one area in California, was approached by like a legit Nazi like businessman who wanted him to do something, and Pileggi was trying to get out of the game. And Pileggi said my favorite line in the show, which was, "How dirty do I have to get to be as clean as you?" I was like, ah, shit, that's profound, and it really fits for Clockwork. It's like, how horrific do I have to act to be the good guy?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a hell of a film. I really want to do it on Oscar Sunday so we can kind of explore these themes at length. But yeah,
and then well, like I said, also, and then it explores at the end that of like, does it even work? Because then you have that hint at the end that nothing they did worked.
Yeah,
like, you can't fix people. Yeah, you can't fix people like this. Like, you can't take someone who is, in the case of the film, a rapist, and make them not. Like, as disgusting as and more as it is, that's who they are. It's what they're going to do. The best thing you can do is lock their ass up.
Mm-hmm.
And then just like, again, kind of with the conversion camps, like, you can't change someone's sexuality no matter how hard you fucking try. That's who they are.
You can't rewire someone's brain chemistry to fit your idea of normalcy, no matter how aggressive or innocent they may be. People are different, and people, are going to do what they are going to do. And it's presumptuous of you to think that you can make them act the way you want them to act.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. It's fucked up, but it's a great movie.
Oh, yeah. That's what I say, man. Sometimes I always say it with like horror metal music, like, sometimes you gotta look. I know it can be a lot, but you have to look behind the surface of like what you're seeing to really dig into like what they're trying to say a lot of times with these types of films and the type of music sometimes.
Very true. That very next year, we got another one, 1972's Deliverance. A group of city boys go canoeing in the backwoods of Tennessee, get attacked by the inbred, deranged locals. The film is notorious for its graphic rape scene that made famous the phrase "squeal like a pig." It was also nominated for Best Director for John Borman and Best Film Editing. This lost Best Picture to The Godfather. No one is going to argue otherwise, I imagine.
Yeah, no, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Deliverance, but no, I'm not arguing that one. Yeah, no, it's funny because that movie like really kind of lulls you. And that, like, you're watching it first, like, okay, what is what this movie that everyone's talking about? I don't get it. It's just, fucking Burt Reynolds and like other fucking dudes just hanging out and having a good time. That's it. And you're like, I don't get this. And then you get to that scene, you're like, holy shit. When did this happen? What? I don't like this.
Yeah, it turns into survival horror briefly, and then kind of just goes back to being a camping trip, which irritated me because I was expecting a full blown, I thought the whole thing was going to be the survival horror, but it's really just watching guys in a canoe for like 2 hours,
Yeah.
which kind of
Well,
bummed me out.
well, I mean, I know they try to get revenge afterwards. But then you get that, and to me, one of the more haunting moments is when you realize like the town is like in on it, and they're just like, look, you need to leave now. Like that to me is haunting, the idea of like small town America saying, like, we weren't going to do anything about it. So you guys, we'll do something about you, or you leave. Take it or leave it.
Yeah. Yeah. That idea of, there's no help out there because you're an outsider is a scary idea, that you can be in this situation and there's no way out. There's no justice. You just got to hope you can get the hell out of here. Yeah, I want to watch it again with like knowing what to expect. I think if I watch it again with this mindset, I'll like it a lot more. My first watch, I had different expectations.
I think with anyone when it comes to Deliverance, I implore anyone to actually like don't try to overhype it to someone. Like it's one of those films where like you have to watch it a certain way or else it's going to be overhyped, because so many people hone in on what essentially is like maybe a 10-15 minute segment of the film at most.
No.
And like it doesn't worry about like the part with the film, and it's not like it's tricking you, it's getting you into like to get invested in these characters. So that's the whole point. No one talks about that part afterwards when they are trying to get their revenge, but it's very much like methodically paced still. And then obviously, like, I do think the ending should be talked about more, because to me, that is an incredibly haunting ending when the sheriff's just like, look, leave or we're taking care of you. There is no help here.
It's a different kind of horror.
Yeah, like that is fucking haunting to me. Because there are small towns like that, absolutely. Especially in America. But yeah, like I implore anyone, try not to get overhyped in your head, because obviously that moment is like, and everyone knows, especially thanks to South Park with that one episode, which don't get me wrong, it's a fucking hilarious episode, and I was laughing my ass off. Squeal like a pig. Squeal.
Oh my god.
He raped the stormtrooper.
Oh, that was so fucked up. That was too real. That episode was too real.
It's one of my favorite episodes, so I fucking love that whole arc. It wasn't like 2 or 3 episodes too.
No, that one was just one episode. But it was like they did a bunch of different, they parodied a bunch of different rape movies, which was just uncomfortable.
I was laughing, especially like that. It wasn't that was the same episode where like Butters and Cartman hold up the Casa Bonita.
It might
Butters, yeah, because I remember Butters kept shooting everyone in the dick. That kept trying to.
Yeah, it was the Chinese. It was the Chinese restaurant, because like Cartman was, thought the Chinese were gonna invade America, and that's where home base was.
Yeah, because that's what got them saved. Was like when
it was the
like,
PF Chang's. That was
there. It was okay, yeah. And every time a SWAT member came in, Butters would shoot, and they got hit in the dick. And Cartman, stop shooting them in the dick. I remember because they got saved because one of the cops comes in. He was like, "They got him. They got them. The guys who raped Spielberg and Lucas. They finally put them away."
Oh boy. Moving on. A year later,
Deliverance, good movie. Though, real quick, good movie.
Perhaps the most famous horror film to be nominated for Best Picture, 1973, The Exorcist. Considered one of the scariest movies ever made. We did it on FILMGAZM on episode 52. And spoiler alert, this year's the 50th anniversary, so we'll probably be doing it this year on Oscar Sunday.
I've heard rumors of a 4K coming out, and if it's worth it, I'm fucking upgrading.
I've got a shitty DVD. I need to upgrade.
Yeah, I got a Blu-ray, but it includes both like the theatrical and the unrated cut.
That sounds good.
So I kind of need this 4K to actually, like I said, and be worthy, or I'm just sticking with the Blu-ray I have, because I like having 2 cuts of the film.
Yes, indeed. A young girl is possessed by the demon Pazuzu. A pair of priests are the only ones who can save her. It won Best Adapted Screenplay and Best Sound Mixing. Was also nominated Best Actress for Ellen Burstyn, Best Supporting Actor for Jason Miller, Best Supporting Actress for Linda Blair, Best Director for William Friedkin, Best Cinematography, Best Art Direction, and Best Film Editing. This thing blew up the Oscars. Lost to The Sting, which I still haven't seen, but I've heard is really good. But the legacy of this film cannot be undersold. This thing changed the game.
Oh yeah, all its wins, all its nominations, well deserved. Like this film, I don't think I've been on a show that we've actually talked about. I believe.
No, Austin and I did the FILMGAZM, and we've been saving it for this year for Oscar Sunday.
Right, I'm gonna say now. I want to be on here for. I want to be on the Oscar Sunday for. I'm saying that right now, on air. Austin, when you listen to this, write that down. No, like Exorcist is like it. It is like it's kind of like one. To me, it's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween. It's a film that like what can I possibly say to add to conversation has been said. Like that movie is fantastic. Rowan Friedkin is on point with his direction. Ellen Bernstein is great. She's always great though. Linda Blair. There you go. I was mind blanking. She is fantastic in a performance that asks so much out of her. But one of the all-time like scenes forever ingrained in my head with having to witness a crucifix get jammed into a fucking vagina and hearing, "Do you know what your cunting daughter did?" Like, oh,
yeah. This was this was the early 70s. I mean, people weren't prepared for this shit. Like this was, I mean, there have been, there've been horror films like Last House on the Left and whatnot, but major Hollywood productions were still kind of easing their way into, full blown crazy shit like this. So for Friedkin to just go for it, I mean, Linda Blair had to do the talk show circuit to convince people she wasn't actually the devil because people are fucking stupid.
This is one of those films that has like the legendary status of like apparently people were like passing, it has kind of like Terrifier 2 last year, right? It has that status of people like passing down and puking in the theater and all that crazy shit. And I mean, for 70s, I get it. I know some people looking at it and go, it's not even that bad. It's kind of tame. Like, yeah, now, but like in the 70s, like, and like you said, like, yeah, the 70s was the decade of auteur filmmaking and pushing the boundaries where you could finally do what films, thanks to the Hays Code getting fucking demolished finally. But I mean, like I said, that scene alone, you weren't seeing shit like that in mainstream movies. Like, you weren't seeing a crucifix go up a young lady's, I should say, a kid's vagina and saying the word, I'll say it again one more time, but saying the word cunt on fucking film in America, because we view that word much differently than the rest of the world.
In a movie about the devil possessing a child.
Yes.
And, like, people, this freaked people out. This was different. This was freaky. I remember
the subliminal messaging that you see throughout the film. I don't want to say messaging because I always have negative connotation, but like subliminal like images that pop up that freak you out.
Yeah. One of the extras was an active serial killer. That's a weird one.
I did not know. That's interesting. Yeah. Oh, I think I've heard this story before.
Yeah, one of the nurses in the hospital scene was an active serial killer who just happened to be working on the film that day.
Yeah, I think I've heard that story before. Like that's a recent thing that's been found out a couple of years ago, I believe.
Yeah, fucking insane. Like he drove to set with like bodies in his trunk. Like he was mid-kill spree, but he had to go to work that day. Like I want to look into that shit and find out exactly what that was all about. But Exorcist had, there was like a curse attached to the film. Like people took this seriously. Like they were like the devil was there. And I'm like, probably not, but still a good movie.
Oh, it's one of the best horror films like ever fucking made to me. Like this movie is great. And it probably hits more for me because if you guys haven't heard at this point, I was raised Catholic. I'm not religious. Let me put that out there. But I was raised Catholic, so like this movie hit me in the way like, being raised in that setting would. As far as like, holy shit, like if God's, and it does ask that question. Well, if you think God is real, then that means you inherently accept that demons are real.
Yeah.
Because there is not just good only. There's bad. And, if you're going to accept that there is a God, there's also demons trying to do harmful things, which this movie beautifully does explore with Father Karras and his loss of faith and like him having to accept like, oh my God, this is real.
Yeah. There's a great story about, a call to action about, finding out like, this is my purpose on earth. I have to save this girl. And I love that. And it's a great story for him. And then I love the resolution we get on that in Exorcist 3. It's those two movies are, it's a, Exorcist 2 can go fuck itself, but 1 and 3, those are amazing movies.
Isn't it amazing that the odd numbered films basically in the Exorcist series are really good, but both the even numbered sequels suck?
Yeah, that's how it works. It's the same thing with the Star Trek franchise. Like all the even number movies are good.
Does that mean this trilogy that David Gordon Green is daring to touch after the shit he did with Halloween Ends? Does that mean that the first one's gonna be good? The middle chapter will be probably Halloween Ends level of shit, and the third one will actually be good again?
Well, if we can go by the Halloween films that he did, the first one's going to be fantastic. The second one's going to be divisive, and people are going to want him dead for the third one.
It's like he's signing his own death wish at this point.
We'll see. I mean, that thing's still set for an October 2023 release date, so
it is. That is fine to me. He's like, all right, well, I did it once for Halloween. Now let me just do it all again for Exorcist.
It is kind of weird. There's been no studio pushback on that. They're like, well, good luck, Dave.
Just like, you can't possibly do this again, right? You can give a good trilogy this time, right? Dave?
Yeah, The Exorcist. After that, we had Jaws, 1975. If you don't know Jaws, why are you here?
If you don't know Jaws, go swim in the ocean, and
Jaws will find you.
Yes.
You can ask him all about it.
If you start hearing dun 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 dun, dun get out of the water.
Swim far, swim deep, you will find him.
You might find his ripped off cousin known as the Meg if you swim deep enough.
I love the idea that Jaws just has a cousin named Meg.
Right.
But it's a megalodon. I'm just picturing a shark with that pink hat.
I was saying that because the Meg was so inherent fucking ripping off Jaws, the movie, which is shocking because it's based off a book. Why was it ripping off a movie when it's based off a book?
Every shark movie rips off Jaws. You can't top Jaws. You can't. Shark movie has been done to perfection. Anything else is just not going to live up.
You know what's funny? The Meg, I would have liked it if I got it, 1, R-rated, and 2, Jason Statham fighting a megalodon. I got neither.
What they better do in part 2 is there's another megalodon. So Jason Statham teams up with a hyper intelligent great white and fights that shark with the great white.
He talks to the great white.
The great white is voiced. It's fucking King Shark from Suicide Squad.
So it's Stallone.
Yes. I want that movie. Anyway, Jaws, greatest shark movie ever made. One of the top 3 greatest horror films of all time. It won Best Original Score for John Williams, Best Sound Mixing, and Best Film Editing. It only didn't win Best Picture.
That's a shame. They get nominated at least.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Oh wait, yeah, duh. This is nominations. I'm an idiot.
It lost to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which is a fantastic movie, but if it's personal preference, it's Jaws.
You're gonna pick Jaws? Okay, I haven't seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest yet, so I can't say my. I've been wanting to. I've heard really good things. But yeah, dude, Jaws, like you said, it's one of the greatest films probably ever made, just in general. Again, I'm going to say, I know I mentioned it when we were doing the write-ins. We were trying to figure out how to get me and Josh on here. And I put in my write-in, and I'll bring it up again. But not only is it, all the stuff we know about it, it's one of the earliest, if not the first film to have people talking over each other, to start having realistic conversations, since film was finally moving away from it being more like stage, where even when people argue, they let them argue, and then the other one talks. Now I'm done arguing, now you talk. And it's not really arguing, it's a debate, because if anyone who's ever been in a fight knows, people are talking over one another because they're getting heated. And Spielberg started doing that a lot with his films, where people talked over one another. So another fun fact about that is that this is one of the earliest films to start doing that. But also, I had the one thing I didn't want to bring up. I had the pleasure last year on its, I believe, 40th, 50th anniversary over Labor Day to see it in theaters in 3D. and it was stunning. The 3D was fucking top notch. The water, the way they did was like the water was like right in my face, so it felt like I was in the water while I was watching it. It was so good. I felt like, some of the best like post conversion I've seen in a long time with 3D, and just seeing it on the big screen was like an absolute delight. I cannot fucking gush about that enough. Seeing this film on the big screen, it was so wonderful. Seeing it. Luckily, I wasn't the only one there. I was probably like the youngest one there, but there were other people, so it was like all of us having a good time watching Jaws on the big screen.
That's delightful. Yeah, Austin and I did a screening at Draft House a few years ago. We got shark fin hats and just had a grand old time, just enjoying Jaws. We did this on Oscar Sunday, I believe last year, and I love that the three of us for our Philip Seymour Hoffman Award all picked one of the three main characters. And that was neat.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Jaws is awesome.
That was great.
Next up, we got 1987's Fatal Attraction.
I haven't seen this one yet. This is one that has eluded me.
This is a good movie. It's freaky because it's too real. A married man has an affair with a woman who begins to stalk him when he tries to break it off, and shit gets worse than that. Was also up for Best Actress for Glenn Close, Best Supporting Actress for Anne Archer, Best Director for Adrian Lin, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Film Editing. And this one it's a really disturbing movie because of how realistic it is and how there really is no hero, because everyone in this is a piece of shit, except Anne Archer. She's just the wife who gets jilted here. Feel bad for her. Don't feel bad for Michael Douglas. He made his decision. Now he's got to deal with it.
Yeah, I know Prime's doing a reboot. I think it's one of the streamers are doing like a reboot with Lizzie Kaplan in it.
Yeah.
So
they're turning it into a series, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's like a series and they're gender switching it, which that part makes sense. Like more if you're going to reinvent it, and yeah, gender swap's probably the most obvious answer.
I guess. I mean, or they could just, try to write something new. That's always an option too.
No, that's silly. How dare you?
Well, yeah, Fatal Attraction's interesting because it starts out pretty tame. It's Michael Douglas is on a business trip. He runs into Glenn Close, and they flirt, and he's like, "I'm married," and she's like, "I don't care," and he's like, "Well, I don't care either." And so they hook up, and then they date for a while, and they keep hooking up, and then he's like, "I love my wife. I'm gonna go back to her," and she's like, "No, no, no. You love me. You love me." And it just gets worse from there. She starts sabotaging his life and killing their pets, and she goes full slasher by the end of this movie. And it's a good one. It's a good slow burn and a very interesting story. Like when it was on Bravo's Scariest Movie Moments, the joke was that like it was so scary it scared the pants back onto men. It's like, yeah, dude who's ever thought about cheating on his wife, watch this first and then maybe reconsider.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't condone cheating at all. Now, I know nowadays we live in a world of like ethically non-monogamous relationships, open relationships. That's whatever. Like, that's an agreed upon thing between you and your loved one. Yeah, that's fine.
That's the thing, though. If you're gonna do that shit, you make sure everyone's on the same page first.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I don't condone cheating, but yeah, like. I had heard the joke like this is a film that will make you reconsider because like you don't know what other side of it you're getting. Like your wife or your husband, whatever whoever your significant other is, you're married to them. You don't know the person. You're just saying I'm going to sleep with this person behind my significant other's back. You don't know who that person is.
Yeah, and in this movie, Glenn Close is absolutely insane, and she plays so well. She plays crazy so well. The iconic line, "I won't be ignored, Dan," has become so just unnerving. And of course, all the shit with the rabbit. But yeah, definitely a horror classic you should put on your list.
No, I need to. I will. I've been wanting to watch it, especially because like I guess it's especially with the show that got announced. Some people have been going back pulling the like, oh, this thing hasn't aged well because it makes women look crazy. Thing when they get cheated on and blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Like, I'm not saying like anything against the film and what your take on it is, but like, Jesus Christ, guys, let's just calm down. Like, if anything, it's showing why you You shouldn't be a sleazebag and cheat.
Are you telling me this never happens? You telling me that when relationships turn sour, people don't go insane? Like that's never happened?
I've heard about it happening when there hasn't been cheating. It just fucking happens.
Yeah. I hate that shit. It's like, well, it makes women look bad. It's like, well, no, it doesn't. It makes this woman look bad. Don't generalize. People are different.
Black Christmas 2019 makes men look bad, but we haven't been bringing it up unless it's for the podcast.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
We just largely forgot it.
That's such a terrible argument you can poke holes in all day long. Oh my God. It's like saying Friday the 13th makes goalies look bad. It's like not every goalie on a hockey team is homicidal. I'm sure some of them are, but not all of them. Jesus Christ.
Every goalie in hockey is out to fucking murder.
Anyone in a Christmas sweater is a dream killer. No, not true.
That puck is not getting into this net. I will kill you.
Oh, I hate that shit. That pissed me off. Now I'm in a bad mood. Next up, another episode that we all did together, 1991's The Silence of the Lambs, the only horror flick to date that actually swept the Oscars. An FBI cadet is assigned to interview notorious imprisoned serial killer Hannibal Lecter, takes a liking to her, agrees to help her hunt another killer. This was huge. It won Best Picture, Best Actor for Anthony Hopkins, Best Actress for Jodie Foster, Best Director for Jonathan Demme, and Best Adapted Screenplay. It was also nominated for sound mixing and film editing. So Lambs, everyone was on board with that. Like, okay, this is a masterpiece.
Oh, and yeah.
Fuck anyone who says this isn't a horror movie.
I was about to bring that up.
Yeah, this is full-blooded horror. You can't get it on board with that. Well, go away.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Look, fuck anyone that tries to say that bullshit. And honestly, if we're going to get to the root cause, fuck the Oscars for pulling that shit for people to go with. For going, oh shit, we really like this horror film. Call it suspense. Anything but that, and we're cool with it. So that's what they did. And then they were like, okay, yeah, we're cool. We nominated this suspense movie. It's not horror. You silly gooses. So yeah, no, fuck the Oscars for that. But with that said, like, yes, this is one of the most well-deserving fucking wins that horror has gotten, because Silence of the Lambs is just a fucking masterpiece of a film.
There's only 3 films in history that won the Big 5 at the Oscars, and one of them is a horror movie. Doesn't that feel good?
It does feel good, and I love when people try to fucking, oh, it's not. I'm like, no, it is. We got that Oscar gold. We got it.
Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed that episode. That was our 100th over here on Oscar Sunday. We saved that one for a very special occasion, and we uncorked that wine, and boy, did it go down smooth.
Yeah, wasn't that the one where like I had to get? Wasn't an also like a Best Picture showdown? I had to get through all those films.
Yeah, you had to watch Beauty and the Beast, JFK, The Prince of Tides, and every time I do this, I always forget the last one.
Honestly, that was another one I had to watch.
Yeah. God damn it. It's gonna bother me. 1 second.
I just remember thinking, like, because you were like, wait, you did that? I was like, for this movie, I will do it.
Yeah, because it's a showdown. We can't just not do that. Bugsy, that was the other one.
Bugsy, okay.
Yeah, and you liked pretty much all of them.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd go back to a lot of them, but yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, JFK was 3 hours long, and Prince of Tides was really sad.
Yeah, really depressing at the end. I was like, God damn it! Like I was sitting there going, yes, get with her, give her Barbara Streisand. You got this, Nick Nolte. And then like his wife's like, no, I love you. And I was like, you bitch, you goddamn bitch.
Jesus. I remember you were also going to do the Godfather Best Picture showdown at first, and then we started doing the movies, and there was one that we could only get if Austin bought it and like had a physical copy sent to us. So we were like, buddy, it's not going to work out. And I think you were grateful because those movies were not. Holy shit.
Yeah. When I saw them, I was like, look, okay, I like The Godfather, but I'm not watching these films for The Godfather.
That was like over 3 hour long Danish drama about farming and immigration. And holy shit, why was it there? I'm still pissed that I had to watch The Immigrants.
And see, if I know you didn't like it that much, I would have fucking despised it.
I mean, there was that. It was Sounder, which was also pointless. Cabaret, which I liked. I don't think you would have liked. And God, again, like the last one, it always happens like this. I can't remember the other fucking movie. Oh my god.
This is great every time.
It is. It's uncanny, and I don't know why this always happens. It's annoying. Um.
Take your time. We're not recording or anything right now.
Oh, believe me, at this point, they know what I'm about. The 45th Oscars. It was.
I wish we had like a fucking visual part to this. We could just
Oh fuck! It was Deliverance. We just talked about it. Yeah. So yeah, I think feel free to come on Oscar Sunday whenever you want. I just feel like the showdowns might be a little overwhelming.
It really depends on the year. Maybe some of the more recent years where there's more films I actually liked. That's a little different, but yeah.
Well, after that, after Lambs was 99's The Sixth Sense, which we're going to talk about at length in a bit here, so we'll skip that for now.
Okay.
2010's Black Swan was the next one.
Damn, not till 2010.
Not till 2010. The entire 2000s, not a single horror film up for Best Picture.
Wow. I actually quite enjoyed Black Swan. I remember it was funny. I was dating this chick in high school, and we were looking for something to rent, and I suggested Black Swan, knowing what was in the movie, because I was like, well, I'm going to see that. I had to convince her to watch it for a different reason, but it was fine. And I got to see my scene. I was happy. But besides that, really good movie. I actually do really like Black Swan.
A great story. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. You gotta do things when it comes to like dating to convince someone why you need to see a movie together sometime.
A committed ballerina struggles to maintain her sanity after winning the lead role in Swan Lake, and her mental state just deteriorates. Film won Best Actress for Natalie Portman. It was also up for Best Director for Darren Aronofsky, Best Cinematography, and Best Film Editing. 2010 Best Picture, that was The King's Speech. So, yeah, I know a lot of people were like, should have been the Facebook movie. And you're kind of right.
Sure, man. King's Speech just looked so dumb to me. I gave zero shits about that movie.
It's about how George VI, who was never supposed to be king, had to be king anyway and had to overcome his stutter to give the speech to the nation.
You describing it still makes me not want to see it. I will fucking put acid on my eyes before I watch that movie.
It's a pretty good movie. It's not like horrifically boring. It's pretty good. It's not by the guy who did Cats.
I'll watch Spookies again. How's that sound? Stop trying to sell me on this movie because you're doing a horrible job.
Yep, I know. Well, Black Swan's an unnerving film, a bit hard to follow, very psychological, and just kind of known more for something else than it is for its horror slant. But still a decent watch.
No, it's good. If you want to watch, like, it's to me, especially if you're into that type of film about like what obsession does to someone, kind of like Whiplash with Obsession, right?
This is the Whiplash for ballet.
Yeah, this is the film to go to. It's really good. It's Aronofsky firing on all cylinders before he started getting kind of weird in his later part of his career, I feel like.
I'm just so happy he reined himself in for The Whale.
Yeah, because I actually, now I think about it, this was like really the last Aronofsky film I liked. Because after that, I was like, everything else came out that I just didn't fucking care for.
Yep. Didn't like Noah, didn't like Mother, but Black Swan and Requiem for a Dream were superb.
Yes, they were. Yes. Natalie Portman, Mila Kunis were great in this movie. Barbara Hershey, this was like really like her comeback when she started coming back and being in films again. She was really, really good. Very fucking unsettling performance with her character. So I actually really do recommend Black Swan to anyone. It's pretty solid. I know, like, for a lot, especially because again, and I say, I brought the story up because it came out when we were teenagers. So a lot of us guys were like, Natalie Portman and Mila Kunis make out in the movie. Like, beyond that damn scene, great film. I mean, don't get me wrong, great scene, but like great film beyond that scene.
Indeed. And speaking of films with great scenes, next up is 2017's Get Out. Black man travels to the deep south to meet his white girlfriend's seemingly progressive parents, only to find himself trapped in a horrific scenario from which there may be no escape. It won Best Original Screenplay for Jordan Peele. Was also nominated for Best Actor for Daniel Kaluuya and Best Director again for Jordan Peele. And we did this one on Oscar Sunday as well. A lot of these we've just done because they're great movies. And Get Out holds up. I believe you were part of that one too.
I believe so.
Yeah, and we just had a grand old time celebrating that film, and definitely deserved to be there. I'm glad that it won Best Screenplay, which probably is its strongest suit.
Yeah, I wish it had won much more willingly by its board members. I don't like how there's the stupid like reported backlash from board members later, which was to me just was like, really, we're doing this after he gets it, you fucks. But it was a deserve because the screenplay in that film is great, and I forget the nominations, but the other people who got nominated, but it absolutely probably deserved it over any of them.
Well, let's find out. That's what we do here is celebrate.
I mean, you can do that. I was going to live in blissful ignorance and just say like it deserved it over whoever else the hell got nominated.
You're on the wrong show for blissful ignorance. Here we learn.
It's just, you need to be on Beyond the Bad more often than you're on it like every week.
I'm there how much more often can I be on that show? Get Out beat The Big Sick, Lady Bird, The Shape of Water, and Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Okay. Again, sorry, Austin. Shape of Water is a great movie, and you need to rewatch it. But other than The Shape of Water, yeah, Get Out I would give that screenplay 100% to Get Out.
Yeah, I think Three Billboards is probably its only real competition there, and I think Martin McDonagh is going to get his time to shine this year with The Banshees of Inisherin. So I'll take it. Everybody wins.
Yeah, and again, Shape of Water is a great film.
It's a good film. It's not a great film.
Let's calm down. It's a great film. Now, yeah, no, Get Out. Yeah, that was a fun episode. I love revisiting that film, even though I personally have enjoyed everything Peele has done since with Us and now Nope. I probably would say Get Out's still my favorite of his, but I mean, again, he's really started the trend of like a comedy based, I should say, like comedy background, like based entertainer being able to break into like horror really well, like between him and now Zach Kreger. If you've been following any news with him, like holy shit, he has like his new movie got announced. He has a deal now with New Line. Like he fucking shot up thanks to Barbarian, and fuck yeah, because Barbarian was great. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
Yeah, I'm hoping maybe the more clout he gets, the more chance we get of a physical release of Barbarian.
Dude, it pisses me off. We still don't have. Well, why? I'm like, especially with the shit going on with Max and now Paramount Plus.
I don't want Barbarian to end up erased and thrown in some vault somewhere, which has been happening to a lot of content on these channels. So I want to be able to watch this thing. So let me buy it.
Yeah, let me physically own it so I can watch it whenever the hell I damn well please.
Exactly. The final film thus far, and this is arguable, but I'm including it, 2019's Parasite. A poor Korean family manipulates and cheats their way into working for a wealthy family, starting a chain of events that leads to quite a lot of violent death. This was a showdown we did a few months back, which was a blast. We love this movie. It won Best Picture, Best Director for Bong Joon-ho, Best International Film, and Best Original Screenplay. Was nominated for Production Design and Best Film Editing. Not only is this I think it qualifies as a horror film, at least in part. It's also the first foreign film ever to win Best Picture, and that makes this thing very significant in the history of awards and film. And I think it 100% earned it. This movie's fucking phenomenal, and it just gets better with each watch. It's a great story.
Oh, Parasite is fantastic. I got lucky and watched it on like DVD, or I think I streamed. No, I was able to stream it before I went on my deployment. And yeah, this film was fucking great. I look, for those who haven't seen it yet, I know we live in the age of the internet and information is rarely available. If you still have no idea what Parasite's about, keep it that way. Much like much like Barbarian. Go in not knowing jack shit about Parasite because you get so rewarded halfway through the damn film. Because yeah, like you said, it doesn't really start off horror. First, it starts off kind of like a little bit of comedy, a little bit of trauma, right? And you're getting, and even then, that stuff is good. Like you get sucked in immediately. Honestly, like you're like, oh my god. The whole like flooding scene when they lose their house, like it's a fucking hell of a scene.
The
Um,
the way they trick the family into hiring them is still my favorite thing about that movie. It's so smart.
yeah, oh dude, I one of my like scenes I really liked, and I found it oddly disturbing in a weird way, not in your usual disturbing way, but when like they have to hide because the you know the family comes home early, and the dad's hiding under the table and listening to them get ready to get it on, while she is getting off to them mocking the poor people.
Yeah, she's getting off to like the smell of the poor that's in the room, and it's like she's like slumming. It's so fucked up.
Yeah, it's like the most like, and that's what I say. It's like so disturbing in a way that I wasn't expecting because she's literally like say she is getting off. He is, I believe, yeah, his hands are down there doing, for lack of a better word, finger blasting. Uh, where she is getting off to, like you said, the idea of like smelling the pour and like it's just weird. It's an odd thing. I was uncomfortable. I was like, I should be usually enjoying these types of scenes because admittedly she's a very attractive lady, but I am creeped out beyond belief with this. This is weird. Um, but then the big twist happens, and this 100% becomes like full on fucking horror. Like the moment the shoe is dropped, and he reveals on what is actually going on in this movie. Holy shit!
Yeah, it's a fantastic film about class divide and a lack of humanity among a certain class of people, and it works. And I love that ceremony was chock full of great movies, but I just love like Bong Joon Ho walked up on that stage 4 times, and they just kept giving him statues. He won screenplay, then he won international film, then he won director, then he won picture. And he just kept going up there like, thank you so much. There's that infamous picture of him like making two Oscars kiss. It's he was just happy to be there, and he earned all of those awards. He's an amazing filmmaker, and
Oh
this is a
yeah,
masterpiece.
yeah. This was great. I know I haven't heard anything about it, so I'm kind of hoping it's dead in water. I know I'm saying this as I have praised Last of Us for a couple of weeks now, but how great it is. But I heard HBO and Bong Joon Ho were developing like together an American series on this, and
Hmm.
I was like, I'm just not in on this. Like this film does not need to be retapped for American audiences. I, to an extent, a small extent, get why studios do that because unfortunately, Americans are we're stupid. We don't want to admit it, but we're stupid. And a lot of us, not myself personally, or anyone on FilmGazm, we as anyone knows have no issues watching international films. But a lot of
Well,
Americans won't do that, and so they're like, "Well, let's do it for an American audience." And I'm like, "God damn it!" Anytime I hear it, I'm just like, "Fuck."
well, here's the thing: Parasite doesn't need to be translated on a budget of adjusted for American money $15.5 million. This thing grossed 263 global. People around the world loved Parasite. It made good money in America. We don't need to keep doing this shit. Just
Yeah,
enjoy the product at hand. If you don't like to read, watch something else
yeah. Because again, and I'll say again,
or
I'm
learn
not saying,
Korean. You can do that too.
yeah. And again, I'm not saying I don't get like some people are just like foreign films just aren't for them, right? International films just not for them. But at the same time, like you are just depriving yourself so much of what other countries have to offer. And that's why, like, when I heard they were doing it for HBO, I was like, God damn it. Cause like this film works because of where it takes place. Cause it's not talking about the wealth in a way that it is in America. It's talking about it for that specific country. And
Yeah.
specifically what Bong Joon Ho has witnessed as someone who grew up in that country. And that's why it works so well. If you want films about the rich here in America, guess what? Infinity Pool just came the fuck out. Go watch that.
Neat. But yeah, it's in America we have this kind of anybody can be a can be rich if you just have an idea or something. I don't know. It's bullshit, but we like to think that we have that option. But
Yeah.
in Korea things are different. The movie works because there is a very clear and accepted class divide in Korea that they just accept. And the thing what made this movie so different is these 4 people who refused to accept it and went the extra mile to manipulate a rich family into making them a part of that world, albeit, briefly. And it was mesmerizing because it was different and it was weird and it was unique and it looked cool. And it was like 4 different genres mixed together in a blender to make this like new genre that you can't even label. It was a masterpiece, and I'm so glad it won. And it was the last horror film, so to speak, to have been nominated for Best Picture thus far. There's been nothing in the past few years.
Yeah, even though I have feelings on certain films that should have been nominated.
Yeah.
In more recent years, I'm looking at films like Hereditary should have been nominated. So one of the biggest snubs that Antoine Collette I've ever fucking witnessed. This past year alone, an actress that's going into horror strong already in 2023 with Infinity Pool, Mia Goth with fucking X and Pro. That shit should have been nominated for something, and especially her. Like, what the fuck, Oscars?
I think 100% this year, Barbarian should have been up for picture, screenplay, and director.
Yes, that was one of the most fucking
original. And makeup.
Oh, and makeup, yeah. That was like one of the most original. We haven't seen this before, and thanks to sheer marketing, no one knew what was going to happen type of films to fucking come out.
Absolutely. And every horror film this year got snubbed. There was nothing in the technical awards, anything.
Which is crazy to me because we talked about 2022 was a strong year for horror. Like probably one of the best in fucking years. One of the best. Hands down.
Even, Oscar winner Jordan Peele got shut out with Nope. Like that got completely ignored. And I thought that was going to snag a whole bunch of technical awards.
Same, and don't get me wrong, some of the stuff I saw nominated, I was with, like Everything Everywhere All at Once. Absolutely, I'm all about that. Film was fantastic. But then other stuff I'm looking at, like you could have put something else, or you could have put some of these horror films here that deserved it. That absolutely, again, in a year that was such a huge hit for horror, from the big like movies like Nope and Barbarian and Smile to the small, like the Cinderella story of the year in fucking Terrifier 2, the little film that could. It made like, and that absolutely, I'll say it, as Christmas is, it should have been up for some fucking special effects or visual effects.
It should have been up for makeup. I agree with you 100% on that. With every time we get a win like Silence of the Lambs or Get Out, it always feels like a gimmick. Like, here you go. Now shut up. It's like, no, horror deserves a valid seat at the table. I'm tired of this shit. Like, movies have been around for over 100 years. It's time to stop with this kids' table bullshit. Like, it's a legitimate genre with real talent behind it. People who make masterpieces, people who make great movies. Give them their due. Like, why do they keep shutting them out? It's bullshit. Like, how many times are we going to stroke James Cameron's blue dick before we actually start looking at other shit? Jesus Christ.
It's infuriating because, like, for me, again, my big thing is that stop looking at a specific type of film to nominate and be a certain period of time that these films are released. Like, no, I don't agree with putting films higher than others. It's been one of the biggest things that's led to, what I've dealt with, and many other horror fans and heavy metal lovers have dealt with all the life of the age-old question of like, oh, you like that, and oh, it's a phase, or like how we saw recently everyone blew up about it when Kate Blanchett asked that question she did on Graham Norton. Like, it's because we're like all that kind of stuff's been looked at as like below everything, and to me, no, horror, even, I'm going to say it, come at me all you want, but yeah, when Michael Bay gets a technical award, I'm not rolling my eyes like, oh, he got a technical. Yeah, look, say what you want about that dude's like storytelling abilities. Technically wise, he is good on that front, and he absolutely deserves a chance as a fucking prestigious film does. It shouldn't fucking matter.
It shouldn't. And I'm also, we're not saying like, every horror film that comes out deserves to be nominated. No. Because not every drama that comes out deserves to be nominated. Not every film is, good enough to be at the Oscars, but a lot of horror films are, and they're not allowed in the, in the running simply because they're horror. Like, we know that's a fact. So we just would like that to stop. Let's be adults.
And with that said, I'll bring it in on like a little positive loop because of this, Fangoria, it being like one of the biggest horror magazines and just well-known horror brands in the world. They have responded by doing their annual Chainsaw Awards. That is their version of it. and it's completely fan voted. So what they, they get they do all the nominees, and then they release it and say like, okay guys, here are the categories, here are the nominees, vote, this is the deadline, and the only one that you write in is the best kill. That's the only one you write in. Everything else is options, and you write in the best kill. I'm seeing Terrifier 2 probably won that one for the bedroom scene. Just saying. I think I wrote something else different. Oh, I wrote Dewey's death and Scream, and Five Scream. That's what I wrote because I really like that one. But
if I was voting, I would have voted for I won't spoil it, but a certain death towards the end of Speak No Evil. That's what I would have voted for.
I didn't see that movie still.
Yeah. Would have been a great, if Denmark had submitted that for their, film for best international film, that would have been a great.
Ooh, yeah. But no, luckily Fangoria has answered the call and said like, hey, you know what? If the Oscar Zone keeps snubbing it, we'll do our own thing. We'll do the Chainsaw Awards, and they do. And guess what? All the stuff they got snubbed was popping up, and it was one of the hardest fucking things I had. I was looking at that thing, voting, going like, oh god, I don't know, like the best actress. I'm just going, oh fuck. It was good. So, we have that, and luckily they have partnered with Shudder, and they do air an actual showing. So usually around March, April timeframe, they will air it. They'll put it out when it airs, and it's live. It's on the Shudder TV. It's live, just like the Oscars are live, and they do it. They did it. They first partnered with them in 2021, I believe. Maybe before that, I could be wrong. But in 2021, they did it virtually, so it was kind of like weird. But then last year, they actually were able to do it in person. So they had like David Dalsmachian was the host. They made it into like a video store he was in. They had presenters. They had the people accepting it live. They had an actual audience, and some people had to accept it, virtual, just so they couldn't make it. But they actually had a whole thing, and I'm assuming they're going to do the same thing this year. So, hey, it's kind of like a plug. If you're bad that the Oscars won't do it, guess what? Fangoria fills that void. Get yourself a Shudder subscription. They will put it out when they air it, and you can watch horror, have its chance to shine with all the era good horror of the year.
Well, that's delightful. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Well, there's horror's brief history with Best Picture. There's been a lot of horror films have won technical awards. Actually, not a lot. Like I think like The Fly, The Wolfman, American Werewolf, like Coppola's Dracula off the top of my head, but largely no. Largely horror is pretty much shut out on all fronts. But the occasional win matters.
Yeah, genre in general, I should point out. I know we're just because we're horror fans, we talk about that one a lot, but the same can be said for like comedies and sci-fi, and obviously superhero films nowadays are like the big one that people talk about.
Sci-fi is kind of the only one that's pretty much like jumped over the fence, so to speak. I think since like 2009, Avatar and District 9 kind of opened the gates for sci-fi to finally be respected along the same lines as the rest of the films in the Academy. Like Dune fucking swept last year.
It looks like superheroes are making that are slowly making that leap now, because I know Angela Bassett is like getting nominated out the ass, rightfully so, for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Mm-hmm. So, I think it'll take time, but hopefully we're walking in the right direction. But I feel like we have to say this every couple years. So
I stopped getting my hopes up, because it just feels like no matter what, it just won't ever happen. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I said, I know I keep alluding to it. For anyone who's wondering about the whole Cate Blanchett thing, like with metal music, basically what happened was Margot Robbie, for those who didn't watch the video, mentioned that she's a metalhead. She loves Slipknot. That's her band. She apparently absolutely loves Slipknot. And Cate Blanchett asked her on air, for some weird reason, do people actually like that music? Like, do people genuinely like that music? I think that's what she asked. And Margot Robbie kept her cool and answered like, well, no, yeah, I like it. Like, but it's like moments like that, and again, I'm not even going to discuss like the fucking outcry on that, but like moments like that made me go like, see, we're never getting anywhere, because there are people that just feel the need to keep doing that. Like, and again, I don't give two shits if you don't like horror, if you don't like metal music, but when someone talks about something they love, stop doing that shit. Stop being there to be like, well, I mean, do people really like it? Like, don't fucking put them down. And
Yeah.
that's what pisses me off with this shit with that and like the Oscars.
Yeah, let people enjoy things. That's I think we foster a good community here on the FILMGAZM team. All of our shows, we welcome dissenting opinions. We celebrate the work, and we give every film an equal seat at the table, or at least we try to. And I wish more people would just let people enjoy things, like because I try very hard to not shit on people's love of things, because that's shitty. Why would you do that?
Yeah. It's shitty. No matter who you are or where you're doing it, like on live fucking TV. Jesus Christ.
Uh, well, that was a fun experiment. I think it went very well this time. I'm glad I was able to kind of dig that up.
I should have just acted like I hadn't seen any of those films, be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't think you'd physically be able to do that with like Jaws and The Exorcist. I don't think you'd be able to.
No, you just see me like trying to look for my fucking Jaws, but be like, act like it's not here.
Like, what'd you say? Pause? No, I never heard of that.
Oh, hey, I actually found it. I was actually seeing if I could find it out looking, and I did.
Is that 4K that you got oh, that's Exorcist.
No, it's Exorcist. You're talking about Jaws? No, Jaws is somewhere in here. Oh, it's right next to it.
Yeah, I remember when you got that 4K from like a very shady dude at the market, and we were kind of like, I think these are stolen, but they're mine now.
Yeah, that and the first Saw movie. Yeah.
Sweet. Well, let's dig into The Sixth Sense and give some awards out to this movie. If you know the show, you know the drill. We've got the Quentin Tarantino Award for the best line of the movie. We've got the Ennio Morricone Award for the best music moments. We've got the Philip Seymour Hoffman Award for the best performance. And we've got the Roger Deakins Award for the best scene. So why don't you kick things off with your Quentin Tarantino Award?
All right, Quentin Tarantino Award. So this is funny because we actually talk about like when his dialogue works, it really works. I actually had a hard time picking, not because like I don't think the dialogue's bad, it's just not a whole lot of memorable stuff. Yeah. And I was really not trying to pick something that was I see dead people, because we all know that fucking line.
I'm just kidding. I didn't pick it.
So the one I picked actually kind of goes hand in hand with my best scene. So, but I'm not going to talk about the scene yet. I just want to talk about the line. And it's when Haley Joel Osment is in the car with his mom when they're stuck in traffic towards the end of the film, and he is telling her about his gift. And he starts telling her about his grandma or her mom. And he says something that really hit me and I'll get into why, but I'll tell you the line first. And he goes, "She wanted me to tell you she saw you dance." And the reason I picked that is because that hit me in the sense that like that's a beautiful line. There's more to it. He tells a whole story, and it's a really great moment. And then I also even thought about like the part where she asked tearfully what she wanted to always ask her mom. But the reason that I put this is because this encapsulates, I think, what everyone feels when they lose someone close to them. Something that they regret not telling, something that they, were thinking about and wanted to maybe do over. And to me, that simple, just that one sentence, even without the big story behind it, encapsulates what we all feel in a moment like that. Something just to know, like, hey, I did see you dance. I was proud of you. I did, that kind of thing. And it hits, I've, obviously, like anyone, I've had my fair share of, death in my family and, friends, unfortunately, from high school that have already passed. And there are plenty of moments that I regret and I wish I knew more of, or, things like that I knew. And to give for Cole to do that for his mom and give her that closure in that moment, to not just like, again, and obviously want to prove that that's mom, what I'm telling you is true. I really do see dead people and they talk to me, but to do that as a way to prove it and also give her that kind of closure is a really just sweet, heartbreaking moment to watch.
Oh, dude, it makes me cry every time. It's such a beautiful scene and so well acted between the two of them. It you believe it, and it's so damn touching. You got to have a heart of stone to not feel something there. Yeah, good pick. Very good pick. I went with something. I think the last lines of the movie. It's after Dr. Crow realizes his situation, which still remains one of the most well executed plot twists of all time.
Oh yeah,
Still.
Shyamalan, no matter how hard he tries, has never mastered this one.
No, he peaked way too early. Uh, Dr. Crow is talking to his wife when she's asleep and says, I think I can go now. Just needed to do a couple of things. I needed to help someone. I think I did. And I needed to tell you something. You were never second, ever. I love you. You sleep now. Everything will be different in the morning. And she says, good night, Malcolm. And it's like, oh, God. And then he crosses over because his unfinished business is done. All he needed to do was prove that he could help somebody. And I love it. It's so beautiful. I've never seen Bruce Willis like this before. And or since, like, this was a rare moment for him, and he's astonishing.
Yeah, it's especially at the time, like I think he was coming off like the third Die Hard, Last Boy Scout, not Last Boy Scout, Jesus, but yeah, Last Boy Scout, a bunch of action stuff, I believe.
Yeah, this was like the same year as like the Whole 9 Yards, I think.
Okay, yeah, so it was like a string of stuff, and then with the Whole 9 Yards kind of being a little more comedic, but still playing off his persona in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And with this, it was like, holy shit, like this is harkening. Probably, the most you could say harkening probably back to Moonlight when he was doing more dramatic stuff. Then when he was on TV and he had hair. But yeah, no, he gives it his all, and it's amazing that like for all the shit we give Shyamalan, like he pulled a fucking performance out of Willis in this movie. And this is I almost wrote this speech down too because it's very touching. It is like, wow, like, you know, when you put the revelation that you have in the movie and then you get this speech and you realize this was what he needed to finish, was prove that he was a good, you know, psychiatrist, and he was a good husband, and he did love her. Like, you know, he may have sometimes gotten lost in his work, but in his eyes she was always first, never second.
Yeah, God, the moment when you realize like she's not ignoring him the whole movie, she's mourning him. Like, oh boy, like especially when he like he keeps trying to open the basement door, and then you realize like, oh, there's a table there. That's why I won't move. And he's phasing through the table, and he didn't see it, and he just like, oh, it blows my mind every time. Every time I watch this, I know it's coming, but it's still like such a moment.
Oh, it's so good, and like I said, just well acted by Bruce Willis. Like you believe that like this is it. Like he has to do this, and he can finally cross over. He can finally accept his fate from that night.
Yeah. God, so touching. I think that takes us to the Ennio Morricone Award. What do you got?
For me, it is talking about that scene. It's when, and I'll fuck it, I'm gonna go and just say it instead of beating around the bush. Sorry if you haven't seen The Sixth Sense. If you're listening to this, I hope you've seen Sixth Sense.
I do not feel bad about spoiling a movie that is over 20 years old.
Yeah. Well, I'm one of those that, like, if you're clicking on this, we name these after the movie title, so you better damn well have seen the film if you're clicking on this. But I put the musical sting that happens when Malcolm realizes he's dead and starts confessing how he feels to his wife. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece of music in that moment to help accentuate what's going on. And the moment she says, you know, like when she says goodbye, Malcolm, or good night, Malcolm, and the music swells and it goes to white. Oh, that is beyond touching. It's such a great little sting to add to the scene.
Yeah, man, I agree. James Newton Howard outdid himself with the score. I think he's done most of Shyamalan's films. They have a great working relationship.
That's good.
He's got to have somebody in his corner constantly, and why not the music guy?
Yeah.
I went with the opening credits. I love the score to this film, the main theme to this film, because it's equal parts horror and drama. It's eerie. It kind of lulls you in thinking like, oh, this is going to be spooky. But then also it's like, and you're going to cry.
Yeah.
It's a really well done score that lures you in and keeps you there. And that's what a good opening score should do.
Yeah. Well, the credits do the opposite. The credits like have it nice, and because they go in with what's happening. And if you actually keep watching the credits, it switches to spooky after like a minute or two and goes back to like creepy music. So it's a really good score. I will say, anyone who doesn't cry the first time they've seen this and you don't know the twist, you are a monster. Okay, at the end of this movie. Now, granted, I don't, but I've seen this film like 20 goddamn times. I'm expecting the ending when it hits. But the first time I watched it, I was like, Oh boy.
Yeah, I don't expect to. Very few horror films have made me cry. The Sixth Sense is one of those movies. It's. I just don't expect it. I don't expect to be emotionally moved with horror. I expect
Yeah.
to be freaked out.
Yeah,
And
well, and dude, it's the 1-2 punch of like the scene before that. I don't talk a lot about for reasons. Hint, hint. But the scene before, then you have this scene. You're like, oh god, damn it, oh god. And again, Tony Collette in a horror film and gets fucking snubbed.
yeah, well, she got nominated for this one, thankfully, but she lost to Angelina Jolie. But we'll talk about that later. Um, the Philip Seymour Hoffman Award. I'm very curious about who you went with for this.
I had 3 names written down because it's very hard for me. So I had Tony Collette written down. I have Haley Joel Osment written down.
You had Jaley Hole. Okay, good.
Haley Joel meant Oz. I don't know. I'm dyslexic today. And I had Donnie Wahlberg as well. Say what you will, that opening scene, holy fuck. But Donnie Wahlberg. I look straight up. I'm saying I'm a fan of overacting to a certain degree. Like if you know how to do it and give a showy performance like that, I am such a fan.
Yeah. Just because you're screaming does not mean you're hamming it up. Sometimes the role needs a little scream, and yeah, Donnie delivered.
Oh, big time. He's the true Wahlberg. We should have backed. Um,
Damn right.
but oh boy, if I'm going to pick, oh fuck, this is tough. Um, I'm going to go Tony Collette. Because she look, first off, she's just a great actress and she consistently delivers anytime she's in a horror film. Like between this and Hereditary, like holy shit, alone. Um, but she's great. She is great as like this single mom that is just trying to get by every day. You know, you find out that the reason she is single is that her husband fucking cheated and ran off. Obviously wanted nothing to do with the kid either. Like did not even bother. And she's just trying to live every single day, do her best for her son, who she probably knows isn't exactly like the most popular kid at school as we see. He is different. He is weird. And you know, she's trying to grapple with all that. And she does it so wonderfully. You never once, even though you see how he's treated at school, you never once feel that like she views him different. She thinks he's different. The whole time you feel nothing but that she absolutely loves and would do anything for him. And it's touching. And one of my favorite moments, one of my many favorite moments, is when he asks her, "Do you think I'm weird? Do you think that?" And she's like, "No, I love you. You've been perfect to me. You're my son." It's a fucking touching moment that it's just a sweet moment between a mom and her kid, and Tony Collette is wonderful. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying anything against like Haley Joel Osment. Like he gives off a fucking hell performance. I'm glad he's still acting. I'm very glad he was able to get like continue and as an adult and continue acting. But he is so fucking good in this movie. Like I said, Donnie Wahlberg, he's in it only in really beginning, and then the big reveal, he gets a little bit more scenes. And he is great. He is delivering, but um just for what she's doing in the role, I'm going to have to I gotta give it to Tony Collette.
Yeah, Tony Collette's incredible in this. She is so good at playing a mom. Everything I've seen her in, she's like the mom of Hollywood, like Little Miss Sunshine. Great mom performance. It's you just believe that she'll do anything for her kids, except
Yeah.
right. She's like, I don't really like you that much.
But even then, you do get like in Hereditary, she has that great fucking the dinner table scene where she puts into perspective and she tells him like, "No, I love you, but look at what you did. Like I have to work through it too."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
bit. I think it's mom's fault in that movie, but you know
Oh
what?
no, I understand. A great scene in the back of my head. I'm like, why did you make him take his kid sister to a party?
Yeah. You know they're gonna be drinking, you know they're gonna be smoking weed, probably hooking up. Why would you want your little, 8-year-old daughter there?
Yeah, I'm like, why would you do that? Also, Krampus. Not many people talk about that
Yeah.
one. She was great as a mom in Krampus. That is just annoyed during the holidays.
Yeah, I love that. Great choice. And yeah, the scene where, Cole's talking to her about her mother is the moment that got her the Oscar nomination. I think it's the moment that got them both the Oscar nominations. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Or her look when she takes him to the doctor after the incident at the party. And when the doctor had the gall to be like, I know there's scars and stuff, and her fucking look when she's like, are you saying I hurt my kid? You feel that like that, how dare you say I abused my child?
I love when she calls the other mom and she's like, hi, this is Cole's mom. Just wanted to know why I just want to talk about your kid putting his goddamn hands on my son. It's like, oh shit.
Oh yeah. I'm like, you fucking go. Get her.
I was raised by a single mom, so I witnessed all of shit like that. Like it's tough being a single mom in a sea of full families, and you got to pull double duty. You got to be mom and dad, and that's tough. And I admire my mom so much for being able to pull that off. So
yeah.
I think that's a big reason why I really like this movie.
Yeah, I love the little scene in the beginning when like before you find out the ghost is doing the shit to the kitchen all the time. And she walks in, everything's open, and she's like, were you looking for something? And he's just like, the Pop-Tarts. When he's leaving, she's like, cool. You still want the Pop-Tarts? Thanks, Mom.
That was so fucking poltergeist. I couldn't help but smile.
Oh yeah. And it's such like a moment of like, I'm not going to question what the hell this was.
It's like I'm gonna handle what I can handle, and right now that's Pop-Tarts.
Yeah, right now my kid wants Pop-Tarts.
Good pick. I too had Donnie Wahlberg written down for the longest time. I was like, fuck. I mean, it's a brief scene, but he lingers over this whole movie.
Oh yeah.
But ultimately, I gave it to Bruce Willis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because this is, it's so outside his comfort zone, and he proves that he really does have incredible range when he commits to a project. And I love the character. This doctor who has lost faith in himself and is just trying to find it again, and hopefully help this kid with his own problems along the way. And of course, he's also playing a ghost, but he doesn't know that.
Yeah. Willis usually somehow, I don't know how Shyamalan would do it, but Shyamalan would get really good performances out of Willis in this and Unbreakable and Glass. Like, I don't know what it was. Glass was especially impressive because that's when it seemed like before we knew about his medical issue, when it seemed like he wasn't giving a shit at time about his roles, to put it like lightly. But Shyamalan, man, brought out great performance in him in Glass. Say what you wrote that movie, Willis was delivering in that also. So I don't know what it was. Shyamalan just knew how to get the best out of Willis anytime they were doing a movie.
Yeah, he did. That was a good director actor relationship there briefly. And I wish he'd been nominated for The Sixth Sense because it was the film he deserved a nomination.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Damn shame. But that was Kevin Spacey's win for American Beauty, so I don't know if anyone was going to beat him for that.
Yeah, but I mean, you just so you look at the scenes that like, especially because obviously Rose is acting this, probably knowing the twist. I don't know if like Shyamalan gave him the script in advance or like how that was played out.
Yeah, I'm sure he knew, of course.
Yeah, so when he's playing the parts of like going to the restaurant and talking to his wife, but having to play as if like in his head he's still alive and he is talking to her right now and she's just simply ignoring him because she's pissed, or fucking great. Or when he's out looking out the window and he's like, keep moving, cheese stick, which I did not know that's the line he said, and I almost died with laughter.
Keep moving, cheese dick. Yeah, that's great. Well, I love the moment where he does realize that he's a ghost, and the fear in his eyes, and the thinking back to all the events and just realizing, oh my God, I died. And he plays that so convincingly. I was really blown away. Like, I do every time I watch a Bruce Willis movie, I'm like, what happened? But then I think back to The Sixth Sense and I'm like, there's an actor in there. Mm-hmm. He's in there. And M. Night is one of the few directors who brought him out.
Yeah. Oh, dude, his whole like his whole journey with him and Haley Joel Osment's character like is wonderful to watch. Him just trying to break through and reach this kid.
There's a scene where remember the scene where he like says, I can't be your doctor anymore. I have to focus on my own family. And Cole's like, please don't leave me. No one else believes me. Like, I need you. And Bruce, like, Dr. Crow is trying so hard not to cry. He's like, I can't help you. Like, he's like, I need to save my marriage. But he's in his eyes, he's like, I'm so sorry. And
Yeah.
it's just, Bruce, just Bruce Goose. I miss you.
Excuse. Yeah, no, and because of it, it hurts you. I remember even watching it now because it's been a few years since I've actually like really sat and watched the movie. I was like, no, don't leave the kid, help him. I'm like, wait, I've seen this. Why am I feeling like this right now?
A good movie will do that. A great movie will like make you forget you've seen it before and still trick you into thinking otherwise.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. Like Bruce Willis is really delivering here like a lot. I love almost all the scenes with him and Haley Joel Osment. They are so great to watch together. Like when he's just the various ways he tries to reach him, like when he Cole comes home and and again you think like, oh, I guess the mom's just not talking to the therapist. I guess he fucking pissed her off um at the time, right, for the twist. But he does that game like, hey, let me guess something, and you take a step closer. Or when he starts to kind of break down and tell him about, this story about a man and his wife, but you find out it's about his marriage. And he actually starts to break down in front of Nicole. Like, there's so many great scenes of him finding ways to just reach out and talk to this poor kid that's been bullied, that feels different, that feels left out because of a gift that he has. And it's wonderful to watch.
I love when he goes back into his archives and realizes that Vincent, the kid who shot him, had the same gift. And
oh yeah,
I forgot about that bit. I was like, oh shit, that was a legit twist for me because I forgot.
Yeah, I forgot about that. And then you're like, oh wait, that's why Vincent felt the way he did. And that's when he realizes, okay, I gotta save this kid or help him, because if I don't, he's going to turn into that as he gets older.
Yeah. God. It is weird. Like the one plot hole of this movie is who hired him. Because if you're a child psychologist, you can't just go pick a kid and hang around with him. You got to talk to the parents. You got to make this.
Well, I took it as like he wasn't ever really hired because Cole's the only one that sees him. He just happened to pop up. He just was like attracted to him because of his gift. Because they never really talk about, the mom never talks about actually having paid for a fucking psychiatrist to look at Cole.
You're right. I just find it weird that not once did Dr. Crow talk to mom. Not once.
Like even attempt.
He's just, I would love if he's in his note, like writing his notes, and he's like, Cole's mom is quite cold and abrasive. Didn't say one word to me.
Cole's mom, attractive, but seems very rude.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, I would love to see his interactions with, like, is everyone just an asshole to him? Like, is that what he thinks? Like everyone's a douchebag because no one even addresses him.
Everyone hates him.
Is that why he's hanging around Cole? He's the only one he can talk to.
Yeah, right. Oh, someone that's probably nice to me. I do like also the scene when he's trying to like calm Vincent down in the beginning. Like it's really tense, and he's just like, "Wait, no, I do remember you." And you're thinking like, "Why do you have to be drunk right now, you bastard? Why?"
Yeah. God, what a start to this movie. I love how it tricks you. You're like, oh, he got better, but it left a mental scar. It's like, no, he didn't get better.
He died that night.
Yeah, damn. The Roger Deakins Award. I think I know where you're going here.
I beat around the bush quite a bit. Gave a huge hint, but it's 100% when it came up. I had a lot of stuff written down too. I had like the scary moments right now. So when this movie goes for its scares, it goes for it, and I do actually really respect that. But the scene I ultimately went with is the very touching scene when Cole finally has the courage, thanks to Dr. Crow, to tell his mom about his gift while they're stuck in some kind of accident, in traffic, so it looks like there was an accident. And this scene in Wonderful, just no matter how many times I watch it, it hits. It hits. Like you said, the performances of Osment and Collette in the scene are fucking so good. And at first, when she's like, kind of like, oh, I don't think I really believe you see dead people, buddy. Like, come on, let's be real here. And the moment he breaks through with telling her, like, I see grandma, and she said this. And then you have, I actually did write it down. I did write on, even though I didn't put it, when he keeps bugging her at the end, like, what is it you want to ask her? Tell me what you want to ask her so she can hear it. And, she says, do I make her proud? God damn, what a way to end that scene. Like, even I just now saying it almost started like having all the emotions come back up. Because again, who hasn't felt that when someone they love, like a parent or something, or someone you hold close and near and dear to you, passed away? Who hasn't had that thought? Or do I make them proud? Am I living in a way that they would still be happy looking at me? I felt the same when my grandma passed away back in the 5th grade. I felt the same way. So it hits me sometimes still. But I'm like, do I make her proud as like a 30-year-old adult now? So this scene is just wonderful from an acting perspective, from Cole having the courage to tell his mom this and find a way to get her to believe him, and her just at no point be like, my son's a freak, my son's weird. Be like, no, this is my son, and he has this gift, and I'm going to do whatever to protect him. They have this bonding moment. It's beautiful. I love this scene to death.
Yeah, so do I. It was my pick as well. It's a great cherry on top for this movie, because I was already into this, and then when you go there, when you hit me in the heart like that, and you make me cry, you got, oh, you're a masterpiece. Good work. And yeah, that scene, every time I watch this movie, it brings a tear to my eye, because it's so touching and so well done and so earned, to know, to see the fruits of Dr. Crow's labor here at work, to know that he got through to this kid and he helped him. It's great. And that, by helping him, it's going to fix the relationship that he has with his mother, and they're going to be fine, and everything's going to work out. And it's beautiful. It's great. Yeah. I had a couple runner-up scenes. I nearly went with the scene where Cole goes to the little girl's wake and reveals the tape to the father.
I had that written down.
That is, oh my God, it's so unnerving and so upsetting that somebody would do that, would poison their own child just for attention.
The look on that poor guy's face. He was grieving, and Cole's like, hey, you should watch this. I know you're grieving right now.
Well, when everyone who's watching the tape just turns to look at the mom, who's like, dressed to the nines and like she's entertaining, and they're just like, you monster, you killed her. Yeah. And then you hear the little bit of dialogue like, oh, I hear the little one's now feeling illness. Like she's in the midst of poisoning the other kid.
Other one, yeah. And it's like, well, now you're going to chill. The dad's going to be severely fucked up. No matter, even if he can, eventually when we pass it, obviously in his own way, but he'll be severely fucked up because of it. It's like, no, this scene, it's like the implications of like what happens beyond this scene, with what you see already, and you're like, oh my God, why, how could a mother do that? And what's scary is that there are people that do that with their kids. There are 100 parents that do shit like that to their children. They keep them sick and keep taking care of them, and then shit like that happens.
Yeah, Munchausen by proxy.
Yeah.
Keep them sick and ill so everybody showers you with attention. It's depraved and horrific, and they all deserve to burn for that. Oh God.
Yeah. No, I hope to God that dude went to like the cops immediately and was like, I'm turning your ass in, and don't you get anywhere near my fucking other kids we still have.
I hope he killed her right there in a crime of passion. I hope he just picked up a knife or something and jumped her.
God. Oh. Yeah, but yeah, oh God, you're right. When everyone just turns and looks at her and she's so oblivious, the fact that he's even watching the tape, she's like, what? And then his fucking comment, you kept her sick, or whatever he says, I'm like, oh my God. Again, with Shyamalan writes style, this is one of the few times he fucking had dialogue that the actors could work with.
Yeah. There was that, and then there was the scene where Cole gets locked in the little room at the birthday party.
Oh, that scene creeped me out so much as when I first watched this as a kid, and you can just, dude, this is Shyamalan, like expert direction right here, filmmaking right here, where like you don't see anything in there, you just hear everything, and it's fucking horrifying.
Yeah, your imagination creates like a worse hell than anything he could have shown us. And
Oh,
then he comes out of there with bruises, and you're just like, what the fuck?
yeah, you're like, what happened? Like when you first hear this shit, when Cole first walks up there, and you're like, you're already intense. You're like, what the fuck is he listening to? And then yeah, you hear that, and Tony Collette's trying to get the damn door open, and you're like, dude, what the fuck? And then it unlocks on its own. So you're like, wait, what the fuck was keeping it locked in there?
Yeah, there's a lot of scenes to pick from in this movie. There's a lot of memorable moments. But
Yeah, other scare scenes I had written down, like I said, the scene when like Cole goes into the kitchen and he's like, "Mom," and she turns and goes, "I'm not your," and you're like, I remember that scene freaked me out so much. I couldn't go into the kitchen after that. I was like, no, 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 I don't need a Pop Tart right now. I don't need one myself. I'm good. Oh,
I really like the scene where Cole freaks out at his teacher, starts screaming at him, calling him stuttering Stanley. And just the teacher's like, "What? Stop it!" Like he starts reverting, and it's like, "Oh shit!"
yeah, you're like, oh fuck. Dude, it's a little moment, but like when that kid walks past his bedroom and he's like, "Hey," and all that line he says, like, "Hey, I know where my dad hides its gun," and turns around, there's a fucking bullet hole in his head, and you're like, oh my god. Like I love when the film does finally drop the mic on this whole thing, like because I forgot how long the film spent saying like, okay, we're going to wait to show you his gift for a bit, and you're just like, what is with this kid? Why is he acting the way he does? The moment it reveals, and I think it's after he says the line, "I see dead people," they Shyamalan starts showing what he is seeing on a daily basis. Oh my god, you get why this kid is like, you get where he's coming from, because it's like, how do you live with yourself? How do you live, especially as a child, knowing that you every single day it's guaranteed you're going to be seeing some freaky shit like that because they're attracted to you because you can see them and you can hear them.
Yeah, the idea of a kid realizing that the monster under his bed is real and is not going away is a freaky concept and very well executed in this movie because that would result in a near, catatonic, emotionless child who just has trouble living because his day to day is wall to wall horror and there's nothing he can do about it.
Yeah, there's moments he doesn't know if the person he's talking to is real or not. It's, obviously he knows it in his own home because he lives with only his mother. But when you're out in public, it's like, okay, who am I seeing? Are they real or are they not? And then there's the other fact that like we established in the experience, some are good. They don't mean him any harm at all. Like I said, obviously the one with the kid, it's a freaky scene at first when you see the kid fucking in the tin and the thing, but then you also realize no, the kid's reaching out to him to help solve, to help put to light what actually happened to her. But then also the film makes that point to show you there's also bad ones, like we talked about with that seller. Like there are bad ones that they're not there to fucking just make their voice heard or show them maybe, hey, I was wrong. Can you help me? They're there to harm. They're there to do bad, and they know that this kid can see and hear them, so they're going to fucking take advantage of it.
Ugh, yeah, I would. This is one case where I wouldn't say no to a follow up. I want to see like, grown up Cole as like a medium or something. Like, how does he deal with this now?
God, get Haley Joel Osment on this right now.
Yeah, I would watch that. I would love that.
Look, Haley Joel, buddy, we need you back. We need you to play Cole again.
Maybe we go with a different director, but I don't know. He can produce. Just saying. Ironically, he would be the one thing that would ruin this. Oh boy.
Whew, maybe go with a different director. That's good. That made me laugh.
Well, that's The Sixth Sense. Great movie. Let's dig into the competition it had at the 72nd Academy Awards. We'll start from the bottom up. It didn't win anything, regrettably. 99 was pretty competitive.
Okay, do that. Just so we all know, it nominated, did not win jack shit, but let's go.
Yeah, it doesn't always work out the way we want. Let's start with film editing. The Matrix took home the win for this one. It was up against American Beauty, The Cider House Rules, The Insider, and The Sixth Sense. Which of those have you seen? Any of those other than The Matrix, obviously?
So it was Matrix, The Sixth Sense, Cider House Rules, and what else?
American Beauty and The Insider.
Nope, no.
They're all pretty good. But when it came to technical awards this year, nothing was beating The Matrix.
Yeah, and this was for, you said film editing, right? Yeah, it honestly it makes sense with The Matrix. Like, as much as I love The Sixth Sense, like, and I do think it's a close second for editing because obviously Shyamalan had to edit it in a way that like we didn't guess the twist before it happened, but also that if you go back and rewatch it, it all makes sense. So like editing is like a very key aspect of this film. But also with The Matrix, it's editing a film that is having to switch between a simulation and the real world and do all this crazy shit that it's doing throughout the movie. So I get why Matrix got that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Good win. Next up, we've got original screenplay. The winner was American Beauty by Alan Ball. The nominees were Being John Malkovich by Charlie Kaufman, Magnolia by Paul Thomas Anderson, The Sixth Sense by M. Night Shyamalan, and Topsy Turvy by Mike Leigh. I have not seen Topsy Turvy. That's a biopic of Rodgers and Hammerstein, I believe. I have not seen that.
I've only seen Sixth Sense, so I'm gonna, based off what you've seen, do you think it was deserved for American Beauty, or do you think something else should have gotten it?
I do think American Beauty deserved this one. It's a great story about just a man in his 40s who realizes he's never lived life in his own way. So he just like says, fuck it. He quits his job. He starts, ignoring his over demanding wife who kind of controls his whole life. He starts working out and just starts taking life by the balls. And it's funny as hell and endearing and done very well. It's a great story. It would be probably American Beauty or Being John Malkovich, just for how fucking odd that movie is. And I love when odd movies get screenplay nominations.
I was about to say, I as much as like Sixth Sense, I'd probably sound to me, I'd probably like based off what I know about Being John Malkovich, I can see that one being high up there because of its concept.
Yeah.
Like that is an out there concept to put to film.
I mean, it's got, some iconic lines like when Malkovich goes into his own head and then falls out and he's like, I have been where no man dare tread, or something like that. Like, this is great. I would love to have seen the pitch to Malkovich for this movie, because it wasn't like they were gonna go, if Malkovich said no, they were gonna do like Being Eddie Murphy. Like Malkovich was the only name they had in mind. If he said no, they weren't doing it.
Being Robert De Niro.
It could have worked with somebody else, but something about John Malkovich just makes sense.
Well, it's kind of like the whole like Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent that came out last year. Like you probably could have. There's probably a short pool of actors you could have done, but it mostly works. It mainly works because of it being Nicolas Cage. Same idea to me with Being John Malkovich. Like there's a small pool they probably could have pulled from, but that film mainly works for what it is because of who they picked for it.
True, very true. Next up, director. Sam Mendes won this for American Beauty. The nominees were Lasse Hallström for The Cider House Rules, Spike Jonze for Being John Malkovich, Michael Mann for The Insider, and M. Night Shyamalan for The Sixth Sense. Yeah, Mendes did phenomenal work with American Beauty. It was his first movie too, which is pretty awesome.
God damn.
Yeah, and he's just delivered phenomenal work ever since. Road to Perdition, Skyfall, 1917. I mean, fuck, man.
Also, I've seen all those. I've seen all of his later films. I've not seen American Beauty, but I've seen everything he's done afterwards, apparently. Because I like all that. Road to Perdition's great. Skyfall is one of the best, just in general, Bond films. Like I think it's easily in my top 5. And 1917 was fucking great. Like that was holy shit. I really enjoyed 1917.
Yeah. So I'm glad he took home the gold for that. I don't really think he's got any competition there. I mean, those are all decent films, but some about American Beauty that just puts it ahead above the rest. Best Supporting Actress. The winner was Angelina Jolie for Girl Interrupted. The nominees were Toni Collette for The Sixth Sense, Catherine Keener for Being John Malkovich, Samantha Morton for Sweet and Low Down, and Chloe Sevigny for Boys Don't Cry. I've not seen Sweet and Low Down or Boys Don't Cry, so can't judge those films.
Do you think Angelina Jolie beats Toni Collette though?
I don't. I think Jolie's good in Girl Interrupted. I think Toni Collette is more believable, and I think she's working with more character development. I think she's playing a mom going through a divorce, going through having a weird kid, going through being ostracized by other families, and having to keep it all together and doing a damn good job of it. Letting herself break in moments where she can afford to break, and I believed all of that. So I think Colette should have taken this one, and that would have been really cool.
I support that because I'm tired of her getting snubbed at the damn Oscars. Like Jesus Christ, guys. I'm support that, and I'm look. I haven't seen Girl Interrupted, but I'm supporting this Colette over her because I'm going to say it right now. I kind of think Angelina Jolie is an overrated actress.
I've been saying that shit for years.
Yeah, like I'm not putting down any of the humanitarian work that she does, and that's wonderful. And I do truly like appreciate that part and respect that aspect of her. But acting wise, I've never been blown away by her. I have never been one of the many guys that fawns over her. Not saying she's like a horrible looking woman. I just haven't fallen in that camp. It's like Zoe Deschanel, basically. I haven't fallen in that camp. Okay, I'm sorry. Don't get me wrong. I like movies she's in. I do like Wanted a lot. Like I really enjoyed that film, not because of her, admittedly, but I like the movie. So yeah, that's my I guess my hot take is I find her kind of overrated. I respect the humanitarian work, but the acting work, I'm just like, oh, okay. It exists. It's there.
Yeah, her role in Girl Interrupted is pretty fierce. It's pretty it's good. I like Toni Collette more.
Yeah. I would have to watch again. I remember not hating Mr. and Mrs. Smith when I watched that movie. I was kind of like, oh, this is fun. This is a fun movie.
Never seen that. I haven't seen a lot of her films because she's never been a draw for me.
Yeah, like I said, I remember all my buddies fawn over her, in high school or hitting puberty, like, oh my god, Angela Jolie. I was like, I just am I the only one just not getting it or something?
Yeah, I always wondered that. Like, what are you seeing? I don't get it. Best supporting actor. Winner was Michael Caine for The Cider House Rules. Should not have gotten it. We'll talk about that in a second. The nominees were Tom Cruise for Magnolia, Michael Clark Duncan for The Green Mile, Jude Law for The Talented Mr. Ripley, and Haley Joel Osment for The Sixth Sense.
Oh, why do you have to say Michael Clark Duncan? Because that makes it actually hard for me. You bastard.
Michael Caine is all right. He can't do anything but a Cockney accent because he's Cockney, and he's supposed to play a doctor from like Massachusetts or something. But you what, Mike keeps coming out, and that to me proves if there's cracks in it, you don't get the Oscar.
I just love that of him being like a Manhattan doctor and Cockney, but like street gang, like street Cockney. You what, mate?
Yeah, I'm just a doctor here to help you. It's like, where are you from? Boston. No, you're not. Shut the fuck up. What do you think? I'm stupid? Great. No, you're not from Boston.
That was great. Mark Wahlberg has a few things to say about that.
Yeah, if you're going to cast Michael Caine as a Boston doctor, then you got to give me Mark Wahlberg as a street smart Cockney gangster.
I mean, they already had him play a fucking Texan for Boston. Yeah. I'm Texan, man.
Look at all these numbers. You see, science. I can mock Mark Wahlberg all the time.
It's kind of funny because secondly, like Donnie also has a pretty thick Boston accent in anything he does. But the difference is they don't try to stick him to one location. They're just like, yeah, he's a cop. All right, that's all you need. It's fucking Donnie, guys.
He might be from Boston. Maybe he moved to California. The thing about Marky Mark is they always try to tell us he's born and raised in wherever the fuck he's supposed to be from. And no, anyone born and raised in Texas is not going to sound like they're from Southie. So, yeah, it bothers me. Anyway,
I just love the idea of when Texans sound like a fucking Southie.
I can't get the car started, y'all. Like, come on.
Yeah, no, Donnie's smart. He's like, look, I sound like I'm from Boston because I'm from Boston. Just fucking make me a cop or crook, all right?
Yeah. Oh my god. All right. So you went Michael Clark Duncan for the Green Mile. I would go Tom Cruise for Magnolia.
Really? Okay. I haven't seen Magnolia. I've heard really good things about it. And look, this one's tough because like Haley Joel Osment is really, really good. And it would have been cool to kind of see a kid get this Oscar. Because I don't think that's happened, has it? Am I
It's happened
blanking?
twice. It's happened twice. Two kids have won Academy Awards. Tatum O'Neal won for Paper Moon. She
Mhm.
was like 7, and then Anna Paquin won for The Piano.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, it would have been cool if he had been like the third, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he is generally like, I know there's that stigma with like kid actors and blah blah blah. He is generally fucking great in this movie. Like he is knocking it out of the park. So I absolutely would have fucking had his ass up there big time. But it's just tough because at the same time, like it's really tough for me because I've also like really like the Green Mile. Michael Clark Duncan is so goddamn good in the Green Mile, man.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that whole end scene. If you're not blubbering at the end of that movie with his performance, oh dude, you're dead inside. You're dead.
Dude, I was reading The Green Mile in college. I was reading it in a class that I didn't want to be in, so I was in the back just reading. And that I was reading that scene, and all of a sudden I was sobbing into my book, and there were people looking around at me like, "Is he okay?" I'm like, trying to compose myself because I was like, "Oh my god," I got so into it, and then I watched the movie, and the same shit happened. I'm like, "Oh my god, this is beautiful." It's so fucking haunting. You're killing
Ah,
Jesus.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
he was an angel, and they were killing him.
yeah, it. Oh god, yeah, Clark. To me, it's a competition between Michael Clark Duncan and Haley Joel Osment. Just and based off what I've seen, it's a competition between those two big time.
I think you would love Tom Cruise's character in Magnolia because he's a motivational speaker who runs a how to pick up chicks seminar called Respect the Cock. Fucking crazy. And that's like he's Frank TJ Mackey, this like over the top douchebag of a human being who's all about like he can pick up any chick in like 5 minutes.
So basically, Tom Cruise playing
Yeah.
himself.
But then halfway through the movie, he finds out his father's dying. And he's like, I hate my father. Fuck that guy. He destroyed my life. He turned me into this. And then when he finally confronts his father, it's like, I've never seen Tom Cruise act better. I mean, it's the most haunting shit I've ever seen from him. So it is a great performance and a really good movie if you've got 3 hours and 15 minutes to spare.
I like how you add that part.
Yeah. It's a hard sell for some people, but it is a great movie.
I've heard really good things, and like, and, it kind of blows my mind that Tom Cruise just doesn't try to me like doesn't try very hard. Not that he's a bad actor, like he has a lot of charisma and stuff. There's a reason he's still a box office draw. And even though I wasn't as into talking about Mavericks most, I can still like admit that I get that. Um, but I've heard like that movie and Born on the 4th of July are like if you want to see him perform, you watch those two films because even my mom actually she does not like him at all. But she would always would go to bat when I was a kid about, oh man, Born on the 4th of July. She's like, I don't like Tom Cruise, but Born on the 4th of July, he is so good in that movie.
Yeah, to me, his best work is Born on the Fourth of July, Magnolia, and Tropic Thunder. Yeah. Les Grossman is his finest hour. Fight me.
I'm with you. I wish he would do more character work like that because oh my god, so that whole opening, you punch him in the face as hard as you fucking can.
Here's the key grip. You hit that director in the face really fucking hard. I love the guy's like, sorry, man. And then pops him big time. Fucking
dragon fuck face.
Well, after the whole phone call, he's like, would you find out who that was? Just, oh my god, it's such a great character. Has some of the weirdest lines of dialogue I've ever heard in a movie, but beautiful.
I will come over there and fuck your face.
Oh my god, it's beautiful. That movie has one nomination for supporting actor for Robert Downey Jr., which means we can do it here, and we got to do it. I cannot wait to do Tropic Thunder on this show.
Oh, I'm gonna be in on that one. That's too good.
Yeah. Uh, but yeah, I recommend Magnolia. It's Austin's favorite movie. So
I've heard him talk very highly about it, big time. All right.
uh, that takes us to Best Picture. The winner was American Beauty. The nominees were The Cider House Rules, The Green Mile, The Insider, and The Sixth Sense. Uh, I do think, American Beauty deserved the win. It's a great movie. My second place choice, very closely, is The Green Mile. That is a beautiful movie. I think Frank Darabont should be the only person allowed to adapt Stephen King's work because he seems to be the only one who fucking gets it.
He should be, but he also doesn't work anymore because apparently it's been coming to light that he's a raging asshole to work with.
Yeah, regrettably, there's that. Thankfully, we've got.
With that, he wasn't the bad guy with The Walking Dead. Let that be very known. He was not the bad guy with The Walking Dead. That was AMC, big time.
Yeah, true. That was egregious. It seems that Mike Flanagan has kind of taken the baton in terms of adapting King for fans.
Okay.
So
I know this is Oscar Sunday, but oh god, I am so excited that he's doing the Dark Tower. Oh my god.
that's all I ever wanted was somebody who respects the work to helm a TV series with a good budget and a studio who's not going to fuck it into PG-13.
I know, it's so good. Oh god, that makes me so excited. Sorry, I was never more happy with an announcement than I heard that. Yes, because I'm like, if this guy could pull off Doctor Sleep, which fuck all of you, right up there with Tread, for not seeing that in theaters. It was a great movie.
Yeah, I saw Dread and Doctor Sleep in theaters. I did my part. Where the hell were the rest of you?
Yeah, where were you? But the fact that he was able to like saddle that line of like, okay, I have to be both Homage and Kubrick, but also the novel, and make a sequel to adapt a book. The third part was adapting the fucking actual book itself and making that all work. Holy shit!
Not just doing that, but getting Stephen King himself to be on board with a sequel to a film he famously hated.
Yeah,
and contribute and like be a part of that. We should elect this guy to Congress.
Yeah,
Like, this guy knows when to compromise and when to stand his ground. This is the leadership we need.
yes. And that's just his like Stephen King stuff. Then there's all the stuff he's done with Netflix and his various adapted shows that are wonderful, like Haunting of Hill House. Like the guy just knows what he's doing. So when I heard he's like, I'm developing a Dark Tower series and I'm working with Prime on it. I'm like, yes, fucking bring it. Yes.
News I've always wanted to hear, and I really hope this works out.
All right, I'm not gushing about that.
Yeah, that's the Oscars, 72nd Oscars. Sixth Sense didn't make a splash, but it got enough nominations to have people pay attention, and it was a great movie.
Yeah, hey, look, at the end of the day, it got the nominations, right? And it was a great film. And even though I kind of, like I said, I'm not really with the whole like it's the next Steven Spielberg. It got him boosted. It got him more work. And like I said, for a while though, we were getting good stuff. Unbreakable was great. Signs from he is good up until the twist. And I know people kind of there's some polarizing responses on The Village, quite polarizing. But this movie proved that when Shyamalan does actually like, all joking aside, this isn't. I don't want to beat him down. It's not beyond the bad right now. But when he gets his shit together and fucking brings it, he brings it. The guy can do it. I just wish he did it more consistently.
Yep. So do I. Maybe Knock at the Cabin will be another good one. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
With him, you always have to wait and see.
Yep.
You can't even trust you can't even trust the critics because some of them are pulling this whole like he's a visionary. We just never knew it shit. I'm like, fuck you.
Just admit you were wrong. God damn. It's okay to say you don't have to like every film by a director to like him. There's plenty of films by Robert Zemeckis I can't stand. Doesn't mean he's not my favorite director. Back to the Future still matters. Sixth Sense still matters.
Yeah.
It's you got to take them, every film on its own to backtrack and be like, we just never understood him correctly. Like, fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, I like some X's later career. I'm not taking away anything he's done, right? I may not like, Rob Zombie, for example, going to World of Horror. His career might be pretty shaky after Devil's Rejects for me. I'm not taking away House of Corpses and Devil's Rejects.
No. Is
That's
Ghost
so
of Mars going to just shoot Carpenter in the balls forever? No. He gave us Halloween. He gave us Escape from New York. He gave us The Thing. He gave us The Fog. Big Trouble in Little China. All of that matters.
coffee, black. Would you like something?
Just the way you like it. So, God damn it. This was a blast. Thanks for joining me today, man. Austin, this one's for you. Have fun on your trip there. Check out our social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, FILMGAZM Productions. Send us a message there if you got something, or there you got something you want us to check out. Check out our website, filmgazm.com, where we have reviews, articles, trailers of upcoming films, and every episode of our shows. Check out our Letterboxd, respectively. I'm Connor95. From there, you can find everybody else, and that's where we're posting reviews now. So check all that out. And if you want to donate through Anchor, you can click on Support This Podcast on your preferred provider and send us something. We appreciate it. Next week's Oscar Sunday, very fun. We're going back to 2003 to tackle the swashbuckling adventure Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl. The introduction of Captain Jack Sparrow and his friends. What a fantastic movie. Nominated for, I believe, 5 Oscars, including Best Actor for Johnny Depp.
The best Pirates film, even though I do quite enjoy the initial trilogy, but the first one is, in this case, the best. And the best case of Disney adapting a fucking ride into a movie, because God knows they tried a lot more after this.
I know. It is the greatest movie ever based on a theme park ride, which is a weird boast, but yeah. And the first 3 films were all Oscar nominees, so we can do all 3 on this show, which I am looking forward to, because Dead Man's Chest and At World's End are fantastic.
I saw a scoop somewhere that they're getting ready to release like the whole series on the 4K, and I was like, ooh, that might be a early dip.
I got the first 3 on Blu-ray. I'm good. I don't want 4 and 5 touching the rest of my movies. I'm good.
I mean, I own all 5, but I very rarely watch 4 and 5. I'll watch 1, 3 in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
especially the first one, because I do even think like the initial trilogy like got progressively like less quote unquote worse with each one, even though I still really like 2 and 3. But man, that first one just is so good. It's a damn near perfect film for me, if not just a perfect film.
Well, there's so few great pirate movies. There's, after Errol Flynn, it was like nothing for 50 years. And then Gore Verbinski gives us Black Pearl, and we're like, oh shit, we like this. And it still holds up. It's a great adventure and a fun original movie. Great cast, great characters, great visual effects.
Great score.
Great score. It's an awesome movie. I'm so excited for next week. And also, there's a good to fair chance Fake True Stories co-host Isabel Gonzalez is going to be joining us on that episode. So we're bringing her into the fold for the other shows. So sweet. That'll be fun.
Yeah, very fun episode.
Yeah, going to be a good one. Check out V on FILMGAZM this week. Russian folk horror film from the 60s. Josh is very excited for that one. And Red Sonja on Beyond the Bad. Speaking of swashbuckling, little Conan but not Conan fun, because they couldn't, rights issues were like, don't you put Conan in this movie? Well, like, fine, we'll just put Schwarzenegger in the same costume and pick a different name.
Yeah, it's weird. I was looking that up and I was like, this is a spinoff? And I was like, it is indeed a spinoff. And they just couldn't say that.
Yep. I think his name's Calidor.
Yeah, Lord Calidor.
Yeah. But yeah, that'll be our Beyond the Bad. And then tomorrow, Monday, we'll be dropping a Fake True Stories on 2006's Glory Road. Talk about segregation in college basketball and the film that tells that story. So loaded week. Good shit coming. This was a blast. Always fun talking about horror movies over here where the Academy doesn't like to talk about them. And yeah, check out the rest of our stuff. We'll see you next time.